A young Buffalo Bills team went to the playoffs for the first time, not knowing what to expect. They won a game before they lost in the playoffs in the championship game to the Bengals. The Jacksonville Jaguars, 8 years later, go into the playoffs, not knowing what to expect. Maybe we're seeing the start of an era like the Buffalo Bills. What a performance!
Well, it was an awesome performance by Tony Baselli. He was one of our key matchups at the beginning of the game. Also, Natron obviously meant business.
Yes, he did.
And he had an awesome game. He had career highs in carries and rushing yards.
He had 175 yards, and it put Jacksonville in a position to win it. But remember now, in the fourth quarter, they were trailing 27-20. Mark Brunell to Jimmy Smith on the quick out. He slants inside for the touchdown, and we're tied at 27. Mike Hollis, who doinked a field goal in against Atlanta. Forget about that. All they Morton Anderson. Maybe this team is blessed. 2 doinks, 2 weeks, 2 wins, and the Jaguars are moving on. And I don't think the Bills had any idea that they would be able to be run on like this. Passed on, maybe. Run on, no.
How about I tell you what? Mark Brunell showed me something today. He came back with a great second half, showed a lot of poise. He's going to be very difficult to defend as they go on.
The shot of Jim Kelly being carried off after the concussion, he could not continue the last couple of minutes, may be prophetic. This valiant team maybe knocked its head against the wall one time too many after trying so hard to get back to the Super Bowl and get that trophy they never got. But meanwhile, Natron Means is moving on. He's with our Leslie Visser.
Well, Boomer, this is one game that this young man will put on his resume tape. What do you think you were able to do today against the Buffalo defense, Natron?
We just knew that we had to come out and pound the ball. We watched film on them, and we knew that they were aggressive D. I mean, they have 2 of the greatest ends possibly to ever play the game, and we knew that we just had to try and slow those 2 guys down. So, we just helped a lot chipping with Tony and Cersei. We just came out and played hard, and things worked out well for us.
And also help from your defense. Congratulations on to Denver. Back to you.
175 yards today for Natron Means business. He had more in the last 3 weeks than he had the rest of the season. When we come back, a pretty good running back in his own right. Emmitt Smith and the Cowboys getting set against the Vikings. That game coming right up.
People keep asking me, how does it feel to be Steve Young? Frankly, it hurts. Give me my Advil.
Medical studies prove on tough pain, 2 Advil work better than any 2 Tylenol. No wonder for sore muscles, more doctors recommend Advil than any other pain reliever.
Nasty game.
Advil.
Minutes away from the defending champion Cowboys and Troy Aikman opening up their playoff run against the Vikings. The last 4 years, the Cowboys 10-1 in the playoffs. All those wins by double digits. But Boomer, the last 5 games the Cowboys have played, their offense has averaged just 12 points a game. That's not enough. Will we see the Cowboys' offense of old?
Well, let me tell you, the Cowboys' offense of old is what you are seeing. They lack imagination. They line up with 2 wide receivers, 2 running backs, and a tight end on every play. And certainly the loss of Jay Novacek has really meant a lot to them this year. So I don't suspect to say a lot of different things, but they're going to try to get Emmitt Smith off the ground.
Deion made a big play in all 3 playoff wins last year on offense. Will he make a big play today? Cowboys and Vikings coming up. Playoff start for the Jags. Can Brad Johnson deliver his first playoff start for the Vikes?
Well, Natron Means was Mark Brunell's best friend. This game, Chris Carter and Jake Reed now take center stage to make a game for Brad Johnson.
The Vikings and the Dallas Cowboys, we will be along at halftime. Boy, this game's anything like the first one. We're all in store for a treat. Enjoy.
Hi, I'm Bill Maher, and I have a question for all the people out there who never saw Politically Incorrect on cable. Do you really think ABC would have bought this show if it wasn't good? All right, forget that. But, we did spend 4 years on cable working out the bugs, so you were right not to get cable. We brought it right to you.
Politically Incorrect, 1 week from Monday, ABC Late Night after Nightline. Number 11, Northwestern. Number 9, Tennessee. Getting ready to get it on in Orlando. New Year's Eve, Mark Giangreco and the ABC 7 sports team preview the Citrus Bowl. Hear from the players and coaches as the Wildcats prepare to do battle against the Volunteers. Then, New Year's Day at noon, the only place to see the Citrus Bowl is on ABC 7. The Purple and Black Attack New Year's Eve, the Citrus Bowl New Year's Day. 2 specials, 1 station, ABC 7. Dodge.
It's the title they have earned in 3 of the last 4 seasons, and the formula has been constant. Earn a first-round playoff bye, then rage on to the Super Bowl. But this year, the wild card playoffs include the Dallas Cowboys. Troy Aikman leads the group of superstars who have won the big trophy in past years, but this season, the road to the title is 1 game longer. The deck is stacked against the Lone Star. The great Michael Irvin has provided unwanted distractions to America's team this season. And if it's in the cards that they become the NFC champions, the Cowboys and Emmitt Smith must crank up their attack to the championship level that has brought Super Bowls to Dallas and glory to these players. It's time to reshuffle and deal for Troy Aikman.
Now we finally got the regular season behind us. We're now into the playoffs, which is what this team has really thrived on over the last several years. This team's excited. It's got the confidence that it can go anywhere and play well and win football games. And we've got 3 games to get back to where we want to go.
Where they want to go is New Orleans to hoist this trophy next month in Super Bowl 31. The Minnesota Vikings face the Dallas Cowboys in this NFC Wildcard playoff game.
Good evening, America. Are you ready for some football?
Well, it's playoff time and we're ready to rock. Time to catch all the hits, the bangs, and the blocks. Now it all comes down to do or die. One team lives, the other says bye-bye. We gotta get ready. We gotta get right. It's time to kick off this wild card fight. So get ready. I mean, get ready. Are you ready for some football? A postseason party. We got Frank and Al and Dan. They're gonna get it kick-started. Lynn and the crew's all set. The crowd is psyched. It's the NFL playoffs coming on. That's right. The city of Dallas, Texas, on a beautiful late December afternoon. The temperature about 65 degrees and a few miles from downtown Dallas, Texas Stadium. And it will be packed today, 65,000. The Dallas Cowboys taking on the Minnesota Vikings. Hello again, everyone. Frank Gifford with Al Michaels and Dan Deerdorf. Welcome to the second half of our NFL playoff doubleheader, the Cowboys and the Minnesota Vikings. The Dallas Cowboys, of course, are the defending Super Bowl champions. They've won 3 of the last 4, but they come in a struggling football team at 10-6. They'll meet another struggling football team, the Minnesota Vikings. They are 9-7, and under head coach Denny Green, they have now gone to the playoffs 4 out of the past 5 years. But in the previous 3 playoffs, they've been taken out in the first round, and somehow or other, they like to get past that first round. But it's going to be difficult today against Dallas, Al.
It will be, Frank. Dennis Green has really done a great job under very trying circumstances this year. A lot of his personal travails were played out very publicly in the Twin Cities earlier in the year. Then the team endured a 4-game losing streak. Then there was rampant speculation Lou Holtz would be the coach next year, and that really got Green crazy. And on the field, Warren Moon was never really healthy, so he had to make a midseason switch, and Brad Johnson is the starting quarterback. Moon hasn't played in 7 weeks, and Robert Smith, their featured back, suffered a season-ending knee injury. They had to go to the waiver wire to pick up Leroy Hoard. Through it all, they get to postseason play, but how did they win their first postseason game since 1988? Last night, Dennis Green summed it up succinctly when he said, our offense has to carry the day. In particular, Brad Johnson. And offense carrying the day is something that could come out of the mouth of Barry Switzer as well, Dan.
Al, the offense for the Dallas Cowboys must improve if they're to advance in the playoffs. It's really unfair to say that this offense has struggled. This offense has just plain done a belly flop in 1996. Their points per game production off nearly 10 points per game. And I think during the course of the season, we're all aware of the many reasons why. What are a couple things that has to happen if the Dallas Cowboys are to get back and try to make it 4 out of 5 in the Super Bowl race? One, they have to make plays away from Michael Irvin. If Kevin Williams and Eric Bjornsson don't get it done catching Troy Aikman passes during the course of the playoffs, the Cowboys are doomed. And if they are to go on and win another Super Bowl, it's going to have to be on the shoulders of Emmitt Smith. Somehow his offensive line is going to have to block better than they blocked all year, and he's going to have to run better than he has run all year. As Barry Switzer told us yesterday, Emmitt has to be the difference maker. Speaking of Barry Switzer, right now he's down on the sidelines with Arlen Swan.
Thank you, Dan. Barry, all the pregame fireworks are over. You've got a team that limped in with more tape holding it together than 100 mummies. My question for you is, if your offense isn't good enough to score prolifically, is it good enough to keep the defense off the field so they can play their best?
I hope we have a different offense, a different looks today. We got to play total offense. Our defense has played well for 15 football games, but we have got to, in the playoffs, have offensive consistency. We've got to prove that today.
Barry, thank you very much. Al?
All right, thank you, Lynn. Beautiful day, as Frank mentioned. Temperature near 70 degrees. Spring-like conditions. And it's dry. Brand new turf here at Texas Stadium. The hole in the roof. The Dallas skyline in the distance. A little past 3 o'clock Central Time. And we get set for this wild card game with Dallas, if they win, on their way to Carolina to face the Panthers next Sunday. And the Vikings, if they win, on their way to face the Green Bay Packers in Wisconsin next Saturday. Minnesota will get the ball. Chris Boniol sends it skyward, and here we go. Kick taken at the 9-yard line by Ant Lee, and he brings it back out to the 21. Tackled by Derek Frazier. Brad Johnson, a 9th-round draft choice from Florida State in '92, and the recipient of a 4-year, $15 million contract 2 weeks ago. He's the quarterback. We'll see a lot of Leroy Horde, though he probably won't start. Evans, the fullback. Carter and Reed, the great wideouts. Hunter Goodwin, a rookie tight end. Stussy, the great Randall McDaniel, Christie, Dixon, and Stringer up front. On first down, they give the ball to Scotty Graham getting the start, and he's tackled at the 21. Minimal gain, if any, second down. George Teague comes up to make the tackle. Now the Cowboys defensively. Well, they've been brilliant this year. Tolbert, Hennings, Casillas, and Carver up front. Randall Godfrey is a rookie out of Georgia. He has been a starter since November. Strickland has done a fine job in the middle, and Darren Smith on the other side. Great corners, Kevin Smith and Deion Sanders, with Teague and Woodson, the safeties. 2nd and 9 from the 22. Ant Lee is in the backfield. And they give it to Lee. And he picks up a couple of yards. We'll have to wait for Leroy Horde, who suffered a slight knee injury last week, saw his playing time limited. There he is, helmet on and ready for action. Just how much action today is a big question.
Well, Al, I can't believe that it isn't a little more sore than we were told, because otherwise he'd be in there. He's had a great second half of the season. He's been the reason that they are 9-7. I'm surprised if he's healthy, he's not in there.
3rd down and 7 from the 24. The Cowboys with 3 down linemen and only a 3-man rush and 8 guys back, and Johnson airs it out, and it's incomplete, but a flag is thrown. Kevin Smith tangled up with Chris Gardner, and Smith, among other things, saying he was out of bounds.
We have some very physical receivers here today, and we're going to see a lot of this. Chris Carter, Jake Reed, Michael Irvin. They are very physical, and the cornerbacks are going to have to play them very tough.
I just don't know that ball could have been caught in bounds. There is some contact, but that pass way out of bounds, and even though the contact by...
I think we're seeing the referee just setting the tone here very early, because they know coming in the kind of receivers they have on the football field today.
You can't deny the contact by Kevin Smith. He's not playing the football, and he's inside on Chris Carter, and he did interfere with it. You can make the argument that that was an uncatchable ball being thrown well out of bounds.
They made the argument and they lost. Jerry Austin is the referee, and his crew working the game as Minnesota gets a gift first down from the 42 of Dallas. And a swing pass taken in by Graham, who's tackled behind the line of scrimmage by George Teague for a loss of 1.
Oh, and what an acquisition George Teague has been, and particularly when Brock Marion went down, the free safety. The safeties for Dallas are so important in their overall defense.
See right there, they haven't had great beginnings. The only team in the league that hasn't scored on their first possession. They got a little help from the officiating crew to try to make that a reality here in the postseason.
2nd and 11 from the Cowboy 43-yard line. 2 minutes into the game. They show blitz. Here come the Cowboys, and they're able to stuff him at the line of scrimmage. Ant Lee tackled by Tony Tolbert, setting up a 3rd and 10.
You know, we talk so much about Dallas struggling on offense, we probably neglected to say that they have had an extraordinary year on defense, 3rd in the league, 10th against a rush, 2nd against a pass. And Tolbert, a career year for him, 12 sacks, 37 pressures, makes a key stop here.
Well, he's the lone defensive lineman left. You stop and think, last year's squad was Russell Maryland, Leon Lett, and Charles Haley. Tony Tolbert, the only guy left on that front 4.
3rd down and 11. Johnson going deep again and incomplete.
He went real deep.
Yes.
Whoa, and that ball went real high.
Mock cheer from the crowd because there's no flag intended for a Kadre Ismail. It'll be 4th down.
Beyond in great position all the way. That one was just thrown away by Brad Johnson. Let's pick him up. Ismail with a lot of speed, but he's not as fast as Sanders. Sanders been making the contact where it's allowable inside the 5, fudging a little bit on it, but he doesn't get the flag.
Yeah, he got contact in the first 5, and then he got contact in what looked like the 3rd 5.
Mitch Berger to punt. And a fair catch is called for by Kelvin Martin at the 12-yard line. And that's where Dallas sets up shop for the first time today. 3 minutes into the game. 0-0.
Card Playoffs, brought to you by Chrysler and the cab forward sedans of Chrysler. What's new in your world? AT&T, your true choice. Prudential, serving the insurance, healthcare, real estate, and financial needs of 1 in 5 Americans. And Miller Lite. When you've got the great taste of an ice-cold Miller Lite, life is good.
The Dallas Cowboys, and how weird is that to see Aikman's numbers for the year? 12 touchdowns, 13 interceptions. Emmitt Smith and Moose Johnston in the backfield. Irvin and Kevin Williams are the wideouts. Bjornsson healthy again, they hope. The tight end. Tuanay, Newton, Donaldson, Allen, and Williams. 4 of those guys, everyone but Tuanay, going to the Pro Bowl.
There haven't been very many Pro Bowl quarterbacks with Troy Aikman's numbers. Obviously, tremendous respect around the NFL. They realize the bad hand that Troy was dealt a lot of the times during 1996, and still thought enough of his accuracy and other attributes to send him to the Pro Bowl in Hawaii.
And Aikman, a brilliant postseason performer, goes to the air on 1st down, and it's tipped at the line of scrimmage by Fernando Smith. 2nd and 10. Let's take a look at the Minnesota defense. Quick. Smith, Fisk, Randall, and Alexander up front. Esther Tuola is hurt. Won't play. Talley, Jeff Brady, and Dixon Edwards, the ex-Cowboy, are the linebackers. Fuller and Washington, the corners. Griffith and Thomas are the safeties. Orlando Thomas, in 2 years in the league, has 14 interceptions.
Okay.
Blitz. It's picked up on 2nd and 10, and the pass is knocked down as Dwayne Washington got a hand in front of Michael Irvin. It'll be 3rd and 10.
Al, you talked about the Minnesota Viking defense being quick. They are also small. And the reason that Dennis Green wants his offense to work well for him today, he wants to keep them off the football field. As we look at Irvin again, inside outside coverage, the ball had to be perfectly thrown, but they are a smallish football team. They are very quick. He wants his offense to be able to control the ball to help keep this defense off the field for the majority of the game, because this Dallas offensive line can really wear you down.
If they have a plus, though, it's being on artificial turf. This is a team made to play on artificial turf.
Whistle before the snap, and it's made that way because the Vikings, of course, play their home games in the Metrodome. Foch Fazio, the defensive coordinator.
False start. Number 21 of the offense. 5 yards. It's still 3rd down.
That can also be number 21 of the defense.
Yes.
This time, Sanders makes a false start at the wide receiver position, which is a really major mistake. You're just reacting to the snap of the football. He sees the secondary peel off and change coverages, and that's a loss of focus by Deion Sanders.
He was looking at the ball. Yeah, no reason for it.
No reason at all.
3rd and 15. Aikman dropping back into the end zone. Underneath hits Irvin. Breaks a Brady tackle. Has a 1st down. Michael Irvin.
That's why they call him the playmaker.
He does, and they let him come free underneath. Tried to pick him up in the zone defense underneath, and Troy Aikman just set up until he cleared and popped it in there beautifully.
Michael Irvin listed at 207 pounds. I'd like to see him weighed. He's much bigger than that, Frank.
Corey Fuller just giving him a chuck at the line of scrimmage, turning him loose. You can't do that. You better stay with him.
From the 25, Dallas with its initial first down, and Emmitt Smith, his first carry up to the 31-yard line. For Emmitt, the expectations are so high that everybody thinks it was an off year, and it was for him, but 1,204 yards is still not too bad. However, a 3.7 yards per carry average, well below what you normally see from him.
But I'm surprised Dallas came out throwing the ball, Dan. The Green Bay Packers ran for 233 yards against his defense a week ago. That's a lot of yards, and Dallas is a better offensive line, and they're bigger.
2nd and 3. Again, it's Smith who cuts it back, and Emmitt takes it up to the 35, close to a first down, tackled by the ex-Bill, Darryl Talley.
Frank, you mentioned that total by Green Bay. Not exactly what you would call a prolific rushing team, the Green Bay Packers. Edgar Bennett went over 100 yards last week. It was the only 100-yard-plus game he had all season long. But again, that was a slow grass field at Lambeau, and that is where Fazio's outfit is undermanned, outmanned, undersized, and at a tremendous disadvantage.
You saw Sanders coming out of the game. Dion will be in for 10 or 15 offensive plays. They were using him less and less on this side of the ball. Aikman under pressure throws, finds Emmitt Smith, and that's a gain of 7 up to the 42. 2nd and 3, tackled by Smith's ex-teammate Dixon Edwards.
Emmitt got lost in the traffic on the play action, and nothing doing downfield. Good pressure on Troy Aikman, but also heads-up play by Emmitt coming out of there.
I'm sure Martin Harrison, number 91, thought that he had a sack for sure. Aikman, with that pocket sense, got rid of it at the last instant.
9:40 left, opening quarter. No score. Sanders back in the game at 2nd and a long 2 from the 43-yard line. Emmitt Smith, big hole into Viking territory. First down at the Minnesota 46.
The Moose.
Finally stopped by Thomas.
The Moose and Eric. And over the condominium side of the offensive line, and they are as big as condos.
Well, they just start throwing Pro Bowl players at you. Eric Williams, Larry Allen, Ray Donaldson in the lead block.
Boom.
Right there by Daryl Johnston. He puts it on Dixon Edwards, and boy, that's a massive crease for Emmitt Smith.
Larry Allen 330, Eric Williams 330. Those are big guys on the right side.
8:50 to go in the quarter with no score. Aikman guns one, caught at the 29 by Irvin, and Michael finally stopped at the 25-yard line. They gave Aikman several days off. Troy didn't throw for 6 days, didn't play last week. Barry Switzer said it's the best I have ever seen him throw, and that looked like it.
This was beautiful. That ball was delivered by Aikman right on the cut of Michael Irvin with plenty of protection. Perfect timing. This is what happens when you work on it 1,000 times over the course of a season. Absolutely beautiful. Trying to cover Michael Irvin singly with Corey Fuller. Won't work.
Dallas at the Minnesota 25-yard line. It's the end around. It is Kevin Williams, and he turns nothing into next to nothing. Stopped at the line of scrimmage.
Well, he turned a run that certainly was going to have a negative number, and he actually made a yard out of it. So yes, that was a very productive run for Kevin Williams.
Gain of 1 at the 24-yard line. Foge Fazio. And there is his opposite number, the offensive coordinator for the Cowboys, Ernie Zampese, making the calls.
You could play Where's Waldo on Ernie's shirt there. That
couldn't you?
Passing down, Bjornsson moves into the lineup. He's healthy again. There he is, number 86.
In motion to the left, and a whistle before the snap. It was 2nd and 9. And
number 85 of the offense.
Whoa. 2 false starts on wide receivers for the Cowboys on this drive. First on Sanders, now on Kevin Williams. Guys, pay attention.
Well, if you don't know, you just look in and watch the ball. You're going to do that anyway. That far out, you're not going to hear the snap number in most cases. So you're watching the football. Just watch it. Watch it, Kevin.
You saw the flinch by Kevin Williams, and it's I'm going to put some of that, I guess, to just playoff jitters.
Second and 14. Aikman, great protection. Underneath, tries to hit Bjornsson. The coverage is very good. Dixon Edwards is right there. And it will be third down and 14.
Dixon's seen that route before. In training camp, every day in practice. Dixon, a member of their Super Bowl squad a year ago, spending his first year now in Minneapolis. And if anybody ought to see these things coming and recognize them instantly, it would be Edwards.
Hey, it still should have been caught.
It was there. Edwards did a nice job, though, Frank, of getting his left hand on the football itself and knocking it out of Bjornsson's hands.
Third and 14 from the 29-yard line. The blitz from the corner, and the pass is caught by Irvin. And he might have it. He appears to be a little short. Dwayne Washington with a great tackle to try to stop the first down.
But what a pass by Troy Aikman. Dan mentioned that he had that week off before Washington. He's well rested. He threw this ball to a spot. He went down. He never even saw the completion. Watch this. A lot of pressure. Top of your screen is Irvin. He makes the cut. It was thrown right on the cut and beautifully done.
And they give him the first down. He got the ball to the 15-yard line. They moved the sticks. This is the opening drive for Dallas that began at their 12-yard line.
But, you know, there's some good fortune involved there, Al, because that's a spot where it could easily have been a foot or two behind that, and they don't get the first down. I think that's a very good spot.
I'll be home for Christmas. You can count on me. I'll be home for Christmas.
The Chrysler Concorde LXI. Cab forward design. Speed sensitive steering. Driver adaptive transmission. Independent touring suspension. Highest resale value. And now get up to $1,500 cash back or get a lease for $0 down and $309 a month. $634 due at signing. The Chrysler Concorde. What's new in your world?
Politically Incorrect's coming to ABC Late Night, but Wednesday, Bill Maher takes on Primetime.
I support hunters having guns because that increases the odds of two rednecks blowing each other's heads off.
Politically Incorrect's greatest hits Wednesday.
Dallas calling a timeout after they picked up the first down at the 15-yard line. Texas Stadium celebrating its 25th anniversary. This is the 20th postseason game to be played in this facility, the most of any NFL facility. Tomorrow, that mark will be tied by the former Candlestick Park in San Francisco, which will host its 20th as the 49ers take on the Eagles.
Really not a bad place to play in the postseason. The only problem is every time you came here to play, the Cowboys were here.
Yes. It is a problem.
Whether it was
and a headache,
Barry Switzer or Jimmy Johnson or Tom Landry, there was always a team full of Hall of Famers and great players waiting for you.
First down, Dallas at the 15. This drive began at the 12. The deep drop. He hits Irvin at the 11. He runs by Brady and has a first down at the 3.
I was afraid they were going to give that to him.
He tried to stick it in. Well, Michael Irvin showing a bit of speed. That's a nice job of getting around the corner on a player who looked like he had the angle on him, Frank.
I'll tell you, they better take Michael Irvin out of this game or he's going to have one of those Arizona or Miami games that he had this year with nearly 200 yards. They're playing they're playing with a lot of single coverage. They're releasing him underneath against the zone, and he's killing them.
Well, he got the ball across the pylon, but you could see his one foot was well out of bounds before he did it.
Make somebody else beat you, not him.
On first and goal, they've got a lot of guys who can beat you, including that guy who gets stopped here. Emmitt Smith stopped at the 2.5, as the Dallas Cowboys have now had the ball for 6.5 minutes. Chris Johnson makes the tackle. Second and goal. Barry Switzer wrapping up his 3rd season.
And again, Al talking about the length of this drive, 6.5 minutes, goes back to what Frank told you about Denny Green and his fear of how long his defensive team is going to have to butt heads with this 300-pound-plus offensive line. This type of a drive is everything he didn't want to see.
Second and goal on the 14th play of the drive. The play fake. Aikman rolling, trying to get into the end zone with a dive, and does. Touchdown, Dallas.
And Larry Allen came back and picked off Darryl Talley.
He sure did.
That is an attention-getting drive by Dallas. One of their best of the season.
Here comes Larry Allen. Darryl Talley looked like he was maybe not get Aikman down, but at least maybe trip him up. Larry Allen picks him off, and pretty good move by Troy Aikman, not known as a scrambler.
Is he the fastest 300-pounder you've ever seen, Dan?
If he's not, he's certainly in the same heat with the guy.
Bonio for the point after. Troy Aikman has thrown 21 postseason touchdowns in his career. That's the first time he's run one in. Dallas goes 88 to lead 7-0. Been a key part of that drive. Emmitt Smith did some nice running, and then Troy Aikman took it in as Dallas goes 88 yards and leads 7-0.
Good dive by Troy Aikman. He comes to play 100%. There's no question about that. He's one of the players been kind of banged up off on during the course of the season. We had them against the Bears early on. Al mentioned it earlier, and Emmitt Smith, we thought maybe had a career-ending injury in that game, but they've just seem to always bounce back, and here they are.
Keep in mind, Troy Aikman, who's been in front of us doing this for so long, just turned 30 years old a month or so ago, so his best days might still be in front of him.
Bonio's kick pulled in by David Palmer from the 5, and the dangerous Palmer gets taken down at the 20. Gang tackle. 3 Cowboys hit first by Charlie Williams. Ooh. Johnson and the Vikes go to work from there. 4:53 left in the period. 7-0 Cowboys. Sputtering year for the guys known as the triplets, but how about that for a drive? Michael Irvin 4 catches, Aikman 5 of 8 and scores himself, and Emmitt 4 carries for 22 yards. Michael Irvin on that drive alone with 4 catches, including a couple of huge ones, picking up a first down on a 3rd down play, and then setting up a 1st and goal here on that catch. And the Minnesota Vikings down by 7. All 4 Irvin catches, by the way, were good for first downs on that drive. And this is Leroy Horde up to the 22-yard line. Horde, 6 years with the Cleveland Browns, went with them to Baltimore, started the season there, waived by them, went to Carolina, played 2 games with the Panthers, and then when Robert Smith got hurt, they went to the waiver wire, and they figured he would be the guy, but the question is, how much can he play today?
Well, they got him November the 5th, and 10 or 11 days later, he had a 100-yard rushing game against the Raiders, but he did hurt his knee in the 4th quarter last week against Green Bay, and he didn't start today, so who knows?
Well, he didn't look overly productive on that run.
Nope, 2nd and 8. They have Amp Lee in the game, and the catch is made here by Andrew Jordan for a first down up to the 31-yard line, the tight end.
Brad Johnson with a new 4-year contract at $15.5 million. He's a year older than Brett Favre.
And a whole lot younger than 40-year-old Warren Moon,
who's ready to go if they need him today.
He hasn't played since November 10th.
Moon starting the season, of course, as the quarterback, but 2 sprained ankles. He was not effective enough. Ford is back in the game, and it's Johnson's ship right now for the immediate future. It is caught by Horde. Nice slip move there, and then Teague tackles him after a gain of 8. Randall Godfrey, the rookie out of Georgia, couldn't make the stop, and he picks up 8 yards on the play.
Horde was Cleveland's 2nd-round pick back in 1990, and in '94 he had almost 900 yards, was a Pro Bowl player, and he has good quick moves. Big, strong.
Where did he go to
225-pounder. He was Michigan.
Oh, Michigan.
Mm-hmm.
Just asking.
Kid out of New Orleans winds up at Michigan. 2nd down and 3 from the 39-yard line.
Why not?
Yeah. He loves both. And that's caught by Jake Reed, and he has a first down up at the 49. Reed, who averaged a sparkling 18 yards per reception. Brian Billick, the offensive coordinator, on the strength of that offense. Reed and Chris Carter on the other side.
And they got Reed one-on-one with George Teague. That's not a bad matchup. They'll take that every time.
And it is the way that Minnesota must attempt to move the football to win this game. They are not going to win this game rushing the football down Dallas's throat. Short possession passes to Reed, to Carter, tossing one every now and then to Andrew Jordan or to Ampley out of the backfield. It's the way they have to do it.
The blitz is picked up. The pass is caught, but for a loss by Charles Evans, the fullback, and Darren Woodson right there to make the tackle.
Hey, he's not going to the Pro Bowl, but I'll tell you, he would have been welcome. Darren Woodson, he is the guts of that secondary. He was right up there on top of it. Good read by Brad Johnson of the blitz. He hits the hot receiver, but look how quickly Darren Woodson is on top of him. Good play by Darren Woodson. They played the run so tough.
Recognize that guy?
Yep.
Charles Haley had back surgery earlier this year. It is conceivable if they got to the Super Bowl, they'd activate him for that game, but not before. 2nd and 12. And this is Amp Lee, who gets upended at the 46-yard line, crossing into Dallas territory. The stop is made by Roger Harper to be 3rd down and 5.
You know, Al, talking about Haley, that's, you know, you hear people say mostly it's a chance for the Super Bowl. Barry will throw out occasionally, well, maybe there's a chance if we would make it to the NFC Championship game, that based on what a tremendous competitor Charles is, that he might be able to give us maybe 10 or 12 plays in that type of a situation.
3rd down and 5. Johnson guns it over the middle. The catch is made by Amp Lee inside the 10. And did he get possession when he lost the football? They're going to say, they're going to look as George Teague knocked it loose. It's a touchback.
Oh, my gosh.
George Teague saves 7.
Where did he hit the ball? It looked right on the goal line. But we talked about earlier the former first-round draft pick of the Green Bay Packers, who's made such a difference in this secondary.
Oh, my Lord, what a crushing blow that can be to a football team trying to get even. Oh!
What a play by Teague.
Where did he lose possession of the football? Well before he went into the end zone.
What a good call.
What a play by George Teague.
Well, that happened at full speed, and we jump all over these officials, but this was a great call.
No touchdown, and Dallas ball.
On the waivers on August, after being released by the Green Bay Packers, he makes a huge play right here.
And it's intentional. That's no mistake.
Yeah.
He went right for the football. Lee almost recovered it, but he landed on the ball so hard it squirted out. He had a second chance at it and couldn't handle it.
From the 20-yard line, it's Emmitt Smith. And he gets by Fisk, and then Brady finally stops him up at the 27-yard line. Amp Lee may have seen Teague coming, but couldn't prevent it. Changing hands here, but Teague, who, as Frank mentioned, not only was let go by Green Bay, but actually made a stop in Atlanta, and the Falcons let him go as well before he winds up in Dallas.
Had a thyroid problem, had some nagging injuries, wasn't getting the plays made for Green Bay. They let him go, but here is the man he replaced, Brock Marion, who was such a key part of that defense, and along with Darren Woodson, and George Teague has really settled in.
2nd and 3 now at the 27-yard line, and it's that's a gain of 5. And Dan, you have to wonder if you're the Minnesota Vikings right now. You know, you had a chance to get back in the game. If you give up a long Dallas drive here,
when you know you're the underdog and you're playing on the road, you know you only get so many opportunities, so many chances to make a big play. And for Minnesota to be in that situation and then see a sure touchdown taken away, psychologically that can crush a team. This is really going to be hard now for Minnesota to regroup, stay focused, and stay in this football game.
End of the quarter, Dallas 7, Minnesota nothing. Back we come after this message and a word from our ABC station.
Was brilliant.
Too bad he's not talented.
That speech he gives to the school kids, fabulous. Jay Novacek, the Cowboy from Wyoming. who has yet to make an appearance for the Cowboys.
Not this season. From the 32-yard line, Aikman throws. Michael Irvin has catch number 5, and he's tackled by Robert Griffith after breaking a Dwayne Washington tackle.
Dwayne Washington, pretty good position, but Dwayne Washington, 5'10", 5'11", and Michael Irvin will fight you for that football at a 6'2" and about 210. And what timing between Michael Irvin and Troy Aikman thus far today. Again, Irvin with a long rest before the Washington game. In that game, it was Wade Wilson who started and was injured in that game, but Wade Wilson took all the reps before that game. Aikman had a good long rest.
2nd and 4, Dallas from the 38-yard line. Emmitt Smith. And that's a first down to the 44-yard line. In the opening minute of the second quarter, Cowboys on top 7-0, trying to earn a trip to Charlotte. If the Cowboys win, they face the Panthers next week. If the Vikings win, they go to Green Bay next week.
Emmitt had a long rest too.
Yes, he did. And you can just feel what's happening here. Here the Cowboys come again, just grinding out first down after first down. Foge Fazio is going, I'm going to have to take some chances. I'm going to have to take some run blitzes, do something to try to stop this, but they're whacking it against us about 5 yards a pop.
From the 44-yard line, Aikman, who has really been on the mark, Emmitt Smith, and he is into Minnesota territory to the 48-yard line, setting up a 2nd and short, tackled by Jeff Brady.
Dan, you know more about it than I do. You mentioned run blitzes, but the way Dallas blocks, I mean, they're just straight ahead, bullying you out of there. It really is not that effective against it, is it?
They kind of took a page out of what Green Bay did to Minnesota. The Cowboys are going to the wider line splits, and they're trying to spread out the smaller Minnesota defensive linemen. Check out the splits between Larry Allen and Donaldson, the center, Eric Williams. They're spreading the Vikings out. Look at that, 3 feet between some of those guys. They're making some of those small defensive linemen defend big areas.
And they give it to Emmitt Smith on 2nd and short, breaks a tackle, picks up a first down, gets to the Minnesota 40-yard line behind a Darryl Johnston block. What else is new?
And a great look at it there at what these Minnesota guys are trying to do. You're forcing a defensive lineman now then just to cover an area the width of his shoulder pads. He's having to try to cover a gap that now is about 6 feet wide. And it's a challenge that to this point, Minnesota's defenders aren't able to handle. And it's going to take more than a shot to drop Emmitt Smith. You're going to have to wrap him up.
First down. Herschel Walker in the game. Emmitt Smith gets a breather. And Walker at the 40-yard line is the tailback in this set. Aikman going deep and a little too deep. Michael Irvin had gotten behind Dwayne Washington, but they can't link.
Oh, and Troy Aikman, who has been perfect thus far in the game, just overthrowing Michael Irvin, who had Dwayne Washington beat and bad.
Well, he realizes that to the outside, he's got the single coverage he was looking for.
Oh, he could have led that to the inside and given Irvin a little better chance at the football, but it totally destroyed Washington on it.
Yeah, Washington all alone on Michael Irvin. You don't see that very much. Michael Irvin has seen double coverage since the day he came back. It's standard fare for a defense to roll up on him. He got the single coverage and didn't get the ball.
From the 40 on 2nd down, it's Walker. And Herschel, looking like the old Herschel, picks up 22 to the 18-yard line. And how ironic is this? Herschel Walker, who's strayed from here, helped build the dynasty, is now back.
What comes around goes around, or something like that. But Herschel Walker is an amazing athlete. He has been such a spark for these Cowboys on their special teams this year with his kickoff returns, but he still has that Olympic sprinter type of burst when he takes off.
Yeah, and he's also running through 10 feet wide holes.
Yeah, that's not bad.
This is a mugging right now. The Cowboy offensive line is mauling the Vikings up front, and I mean mauling them.
From the 18-yard line, Aikman throws, caught by Moose Johnston to a Moose call from the 65,000, tackled by Robert Griffith. Herschel Walker has been a valuable guy this year, not only in backing up Emmitt Smith and playing several positions, but on special teams. He's had some very timely run backs and some great tackles. And here's a guy at the end of his career who is as valuable now as he ever was.
Al, this guy's had kickoff returns this year of 89, 86, 70, and 63 yards.
Well, I'm not so sure it's the end of a career, though. I mean, he's never been hurt. Never missed any time that I know of from being injured. He's in superb shape. He works year-round. He's going to be around, I think, for a while. He can help you.
2nd down and 8. Aikman guns it into the end zone, and it's dropped by Bjornsson, the tight end. Eric Bjornsson, the guy who's getting to replace Jay Novacek, out all season because of a bad back. And Bjornsson himself, who has been hurt with 2 tender ankles, healthy now, but it's the hands that are the problem.
Oh, give the Vikings credit here, Al. This is good coverage. They were in there. One he could have caught, however, he had to reach for it.
Beautiful coverage by the Vikings in and out, and Aikman delivers a perfect pass to Bjornsson. Perfect pass. That was double coverage. Troy had no business going there, except he knew that he could thread it.
When you're confident, you'll do it.
3rd and 8, the short drop, the quick pass, a flag is thrown. Deion Sanders juggles it, a flag at the 16-yard line.
Well, the Cowboys ought to hope for a false start or something so they get to do this play over.
Flag is thrown at the line of scrimmage. It is offside against Minnesota. Well, even better.
Yeah, if it's not against them, that's even better. Tough enough to stop the Cowboys without giving them extra tries. That's what the Vikings just did. Again, look at this double coverage and watch Troy. This is a man who's confident. Short and long is the coverage, and yet he gets it right on to the palms of Eric Bjornsson.
It would have been a tough catch and good coverage, but it was beautifully put there by Aikman.
3rd and 3 at the 11. Dallas up by 7. Emmitt Smith looking for room and doesn't find any, and he's tackled at the 10-yard line. It'll be 4th down and 2, and they'll send in Chris Boniol, who ended the season with 27 consecutive field goals.
Had another big run before that, didn't he, Al?
He started the season with 25 in a row and missed in the opener on a Monday night at Chicago.
Well, so far in this game, the Vikings' victories are coming in small doses. This is one of them, forcing Dallas into a field goal.
29-yard field goal attempt. John Jett to hold. And Boniol to try to make it 10-zip. And he does. Officially 28 yards. 10:04 left in the opening half in this wild card battle. Dallas 10, Minnesota nothing. Today provided by Goodyear. A look at the skyline of Dallas. We are just outside the Dallas city limits in the city of Irving, Texas, home of Texas Stadium. Cowboys on top 10-0. Chris Boniol sends the kickoff down to the 3-yard line. David Palmer comes up past the 20 and is tackled at the 28 by Kavika Pittman. Joe Avizano, the special teams coach. We have 9:54 left in the half. Aikman and Dallas up by 10. Say about that. In the Rose Bowl the day before against Ohio State, also on ABC. Minnesota first down from the 28-yard line. And Leroy Horde exploits a hole that loses the ball, and Deion's got it. Deion laterals the ball back, and the Dallas Cowboys have possession as Shante Carver gets tackled. First down, Dallas inside the 40.
Not what Minnesota needed. Leroy Horde with a gaping hole tried to kick it into another gear. Loses the football. And Deion, who always seems to be around it, is there. Huge hole over in the left side. Good block by McDaniel.
Guess who knocks the ball out again? George
Teague. What a game he's having.
George Teague knocks the ball out again, and then I think foolishly Sanders laterals that ball back to a teammate.
We've seen him do it before in a playoff game.
Oh, yeah. Coaches go wild when players do that. You have the good fortune of recovering the ball. Why put it in play again?
First and 10 at the 37-yard line. Emmitt Smith, huge hole inside the 30. Goodbye.
This is what they've been waiting for.
Anybody want to volunteer to play defensive line for the Vikings? I don't think so.
Was he touched? I don't think so.
No. What what a job of blocking by this front five and by Daryl Johnston, the lead back. Look at this hole in the middle. Barely grazed on the shoulder pads by Orlando Thomas. Emmitt Smith takes a nice leisurely stroll to the end zone.
Larry Allen really popped Jeff Brady. Boniol converts, and Emmitt Smith has now scored 17 postseason touchdowns, most in history.
Well, Emmitt is running hard. Not to take anything away from Emmitt Smith, but a lot of backs would score off of a hole like that.
You would. 17-0.
Maybe.
A sparkling 8.7 yards per carry. The team is averaging 8.6. And Minnesota gave up 4.4 yards per carry this year. Worst in the league, and they look like it today. And that's a touchback. David Palmer will down it in the end zone. This wild card game is being brought to you by Ford Taurus. More of what America wants in an automobile. Miller Lite. When you've got the great taste of an ice cold Miller Lite, life is good. And Southwest Airlines, with fares so low, you have the freedom to go places. And the Dallas Cowboys, they want to go places. They want to go to Charlotte. Or if you're Denny Green, though, you've got to tell your football team, let's settle down. We got to start getting the ball to Chris Carter and Jake Reed, our big wide receivers. Ball control passing, because that's the only way we're going to get there. Swing pass caught by Evans, and he picks up 8. Godfrey with the stop.
Dion went in there for a textbook tackle and did nothing. Went in low and wasn't a factor. Now, you youngsters out there in junior football, this is not how you attempt to tackle somebody.
And a lot of people don't like it either. Down low around those knees. 2nd and 3, 8:55 left in the half. Cowboys leading 17-0. Johnson throws underneath, and that's incomplete, trying to gun it into Amp Lee, and then had too many amps on it. Third down. One I was making earlier, the receivers, Chris Carter and Jake Reed, had over 160 receptions on the season. I mean, they are the spark plug offensively for this football team. Jake Reed has caught 1 pass. Carter's caught none thus far, and we're almost midway through the second quarter. And this one underneath to Amp Lee and thrown behind by Brad Johnson.
There's Reed being held by Dion on the one side of the field. Carter was bottled up on the other.
3rd and 3 out of the gun. And it's picked off by who else? George Teague. Oh, man. Touchdown.
I'll tell you something right now. Brad Johnson made a throw by a quarterback who looks like he's only played 6 or 7 games in the NFL. You never throw it back to the middle of the field like that.
All right, and give Kevin Smith a great assist. Jake Reed was the intended receiver. Kevin Smith took him out of the play. Johnson wanted to go to him. He tried to throw back. As Dan said, across the middle is picked off, and this man is having a career game.
But Frank, you know,
no, you don't.
That's not where you ever go back with the football in this situation.
But he wanted to go to Reed. He was well covered by Kevin Smith. Had to do this, or did this.
Well, I don't know what else George Teague could do. George put that ball up a little bit early. I don't know what else a player could do to have more of an impact on a football game than George Teague is having in this first half for the Cowboys. He's forced 2 fumbles and intercepted a pass for a touchdown.
Boniol for the point after. 8:36 to the half. 24-0 in favor of the world champions. Al Michaels with Frank Gifford, Dan Deerdorf, and Lynn Swan. The Cowboys on top 24-0. George Teague having a Hall of Fame first half. Boniol kicks off. Taken at the 10-yard line by David Palmer. And he is out of bounds at the 23. Well, George Teague, no stranger to highlight films in postseason play, following the '93 season as a member of the Green Bay Packers against Detroit.
He returned this pass 101 yards, the longest postseason interception return in NFL history.
Green Bay's #1 draft pick in '93, started for them 3 years, had a lot of nagging injuries, had some thyroid problems. Released a year ago and by Atlanta, as I pointed out, but after he had left Green Bay, and he has had himself a game.
2 forced fumbles, 1 interception return for a touchdown, and 5 tackles along the way. Here's Leroy Horde. Is that another fumble? Lost the football, but no. He retains possession. He holds on, at least in terms of possession.
Yeah, Tony Casillas has the ball.
line. This wild card game is being brought to you by Ford Taurus. More of what America wants in an automobile. Miller Lite. When you've got the great taste of an ice cold Miller Lite, life is good. And Southwest Airlines, with fares so low, you have the freedom to go places.
Well, Leroy Hart is coming out of the ball game over to the Vikings sideline, and I don't know how much more he's going to play. He certainly has not been effective to this point. Looked like Casillas was certainly across the ball at the snap. Was he drawn?
If he wasn't, he'll argue he was.
Number 75 of the defense, 5 yards. That'll be a first down.
Nope, wasn't drawn. 2nd down and 8. Well, if you're Minnesota now, among the dilemmas you have, it'll be a first down up at the 35-yard line. If you're Minnesota, among the dilemmas you have is what do you do at quarterback at this point at the 35-yard line? Johnson throws. Well, that dilemma continues as Deion Sanders takes it to the 21-yard line.
Al, this has moved well beyond a dilemma. This has moved into the catastrophe category. This is no longer a dilemma.
I think it's gone from catastrophe to debacle.
That ball thrown behind the receiver right into the hands of Deion. He had to catch that ball out of self-defense. He's in a zone. He'll just pass him off right here to the linebacker. There's a little collision there, but right into the arms of Deion.
Question is, did that collision come while the ball was in the air? If it did, it's interference.
Vikings have had the ball 5 times, 4 turnovers, and a punt.
Ooh, baby.
At the 22-yard line. Emmitt Smith stopped by Harrison. The Dallas coaches at the half. Meanwhile, home teams have won the last 35 games in postseason play in which they have fewer turnovers. Some of the Dallas coaching staff might start looking at Carolina game film at the half.
Well, I can only assume this, that like an unwanted in-law that shows up every now and then, the way the Cowboys have started this game, they're not the team you want to come calling during postseason play. I know this is at home, but the Cowboys appear to be in a playoff frame of mind.
It's Herschel Walker to the 14. The prior run was by Sherman Williams, who had come in to spell Emmitt Smith. So the Cowboys have the luxury of even resting Emmitt at a spot in the game like this, up 24-zip. Use Williams. There's Emmitt. He's already got the baseball cap on.
Well, they can do that to a lot of people, and they did it last week against the Washington Redskins, and they got blown away 37-10, and Barry said, so what, Merry Christmas, Washington? We needed our guys to get a rest, and they came out here on very young legs, and Troy Aikman came out with a very lively arm, and they have put some big numbers up there.
3rd and a deuce at the 14. 6 minutes to go in the half. Walker. A little short of the first down. Jason Fisk for the stop.
I'm sure that if somebody would have told the members of the Minnesota Vikings that with 6 minutes left in the second quarter that we already got Emmitt Smith out of the ball game and they're down to Herschel Walker, that's good news. I don't think they could have ever envisioned a scenario quite like this, down 24-0.
31-yard attempt by Boniol, who earlier this season kicked 7 field goals in a game against Green Bay, the Monday nighter. And he has 2 today.
along with 3 extra points. 5:19 remaining in the half. The Cowboys are on top 27-0. When you look at the Cowboys and you look at the season, it's been, in a way, the most turbulent of seasons for Barry Switzer and the whole team. The Michael Irvin suspension for 5 games. Shante Carver had been suspended. Charles Haley with back surgery. Leon Lett is gone. Novacek gone all season long. Emmitt Smith never really healthy. A non-Emmitt-like season. Aikman more interceptions than touchdowns. But you got the feeling that this was a team that could explode in postseason.
And another factor, Al, this is the best game by far that this offensive line has played all year. They've not played well. By their own admission that they were ineffective most of this season. There's more than just Emmett's not running well. What is reason why his rushing per carry average is down.
You know, we haven't seen Eric Borenson yet, the tight end who has really come on. He's missed about the last 5 or 6 weeks. He is healthy once again. Mark Tunay could get a rest today for that right leg of his.
And I'll tell you, they need to get Kevin Williams active. Kevin Williams has to be a factor for the Cowboys in the postseason.
Bonio, a lot of exercise for that leg in the first half. Here's David Palmer. And Palmer able to break one out past the 40 before he's tackled at the 44-yard line by Roger Harper. Well, here's what Troy Aikman had to say about elevating the level of play for this team in postseason.
A little bit bored with the season because of what's accomplished in years past, and kind of hopeful that now that we get into the games that really matter, and the games that this football team has really thrived in the previous seasons, I'm hoping that energy surrounding these games will kickstart this group and get us back to playing at the level we know we're playing.
A lot of energy today, obviously, on both sides of the ball as Amp Lee picks up 2 to the 45-yard line. It'll be 2nd down and 8.
I wonder what it would be like, Frank, to play on a football team where you have so much talent that you could actually speculate that maybe we were bored during the regular season.
Well, we were one year.
Boy, I have to tell you, that never happened to me. I never was afforded that luxury.
It's a great time for this football team, though. They've had so many nicks. This extra playoff game for them. Now they can rest. That's tipped and incomplete. And the worst of times, Chad Hennings got his hand on it for the Minnesota Vikings because, among other things, Johnson in his 5th year, a guy who didn't take a snap his first 2 years in the league, and a guy they were really forced into signing because if he became a free agent, they probably couldn't have retained him. So Dennis Green and the Minnesota Vikings had to give Brad Johnson a 4-year, $15 million contract. Warren Moon, at the age of 40, is probably going someplace else or retiring next season. And then you have a day like this, and you have to go to yourself, whoa.
How long is this going to make the offseason for the Vikings wondering if they did the right thing?
3rd down and 7 from the 45. Todd Stussy was moving.
Now, this one game doesn't make Brad Johnson a bad quarterback, and it doesn't make it a bad decision because he's played well. But, boy, it sure does create a lot of topics of conversation up in the Twin Cities.
Well, over the past 4 weeks, he's had 3 interceptions and 9 touchdowns. He's got a quarterback rating of 99.1. And
good stuff.
That's good stuff. Real good numbers. He got them into the playoffs. They weren't headed in this direction. He won 4 of the last 6, so he'll be all right. 3rd down and 12. And he gets hit as he throws, and that's incomplete. It's 4th down.
But if 4 of 6 gets you $15 million, there's going to be a lot of guys jumping in that line.
Yeah. It speaks to the paucity of outstanding quarterbacks in the league, because if you're at the top of that sort of second level, you can get that sort of contract, and he did. Well, you're not going very far without a good one.
Well, he's aided greatly by the fact that the guy in front of him is 40 years old.
Fourth down, Berger into punt. 4:27 left in the half.
That's a good-looking punt. That's about all that's happened for Minnesota.
Kelvin Martin tackled up at the 16-yard line. So the Cowboys have it, and we can tell you that the Wendy's 3-Tour Challenge will come your way. Stars from the Women's Tour, the regular Men's Tour, and the Senior Tour. Fred Couples, Davis Love, Payne Stewart, and others in action Sunday. That's tomorrow at 2 Eastern and 1 Pacific. The Wendy's 3-Tour Golf Challenge right here on ABC. From the 17-yard line.
Well, we might have seen the last of Emmitt Smith.
Yeah, Sherman Williams is the running back in this set. Aikman throws. Caught by Michael Irvin. And, you know, Barry Switzer saying yesterday that it's the best he's ever seen Aikman throw. And, you know, we hear a lot of things from coaches through the years, and you don't know what you quite believe 100% or 50% or whatever. But Barry wasn't kidding about this.
Well, he has been really on the money. That first quarter was an exhibition for him. He put on a show of perfect timing. And, of course, to have that perfect timing, you've got to have it from your receiver, Michael Irvin. They have been absolutely perfect here thus far in the first half.
Look over my shoulder, Alan. I see Jerry Jones is up here in our booth. You're talking to him at halftime. He ought to be in fine spirits.
A big smile from the 28-yard line. Aikman throws, and that's tipped, and it's intercepted by the Vikings. Orlando Thomas, who fumbles the football.
I think Bjornsson has it back.
Oh, they do. Dallas gets it back.
Life is good. When it's going your way, it goes your way.
Wayne Washington tipped it. I think Herschel Walker came in to strip it away after the pick.
And I think Thomas is hurt. Orlando Thomas still down on the field. The Vikings training staff has run out there. The ball's tipped, and this is going to be Thomas who catches it in the air. And then on his return,
it's a twisting tackle, and he collapses on that left knee.
He's hit by Herschel Walker, and Eric Bjornsson recovers it. This is just absolutely as catastrophic a half as I've ever seen a team have.
So Thomas being assisted on the field. Aikman keeps possession. The Vikings have committed 5 turnovers. That counts officially as a turnover because the Vikings did have possession.
This is a man who has more interceptions than anyone else in the NFL the last couple of years. Has 14.
9 as a rookie.
And 5 this regular season, and now 1 in postseason for his 15th. And
well, he really got twisted when he went down.
Sure hope that he's not hurt real badly. It's going to be a long enough trip back to Minneapolis. A really fine free safety, Orlando Thomas.
Clearly an excruciating pain.
He spun around on the tackle and then just collapsed on that left leg.
Just really whacked by Herschel Walker. Oh, that'll break your heart.
Dallas now at the 43 with 3:23 to the half. Sherman Williams spins out of a tackle behind the line of scrimmage. Derek Alexander couldn't corral him, and he's taken down by Jeff Brady. Who would have thought Emmitt Smith could, not that he will, but could take the rest of the day off the way it appears right now?
Well, I wouldn't think they'd take him out of the game, let him cool down, and then put him back. I think that would be making a major mistake.
Well, 27-0. The Cowboys on top. Second down and 10 at the 43-yard line. Aikman throws, and that is caught by Darrell Johnston for a minimal gain. He's tackled by Dwayne Washington, and a flag is down in the middle of the field. Illegal contact, the Vikings.
55 of the defense. Illegal use of hands for the face. 5 yards. Automatic first down.
Penalty goes against Darryl Talley, the outside linebacker of the Vikings, and there just appears to be absolutely no end to the number of things that can go wrong for the Vikes. See if we can pick it up. Eric Bjornsson as he attempts to release, and Talley gets called for the hand riding up into the face of Bjornsson as he chucks him coming off the line. It was very brief.
Ticking down toward the 2-minute warning. Aikman throws. Herschel Walker makes the catch. Walker gets tackled at the 44 after a gain of 8, and that takes us to the 2-minute warning.
Boy, he is strong, isn't he? In the grasp of a couple of Vikings, and he still surges for a yard.
Dallas 27, Minnesota nothing. Dallas, Texas.
Able to leap tall buildings in a single bound. That's George Teague. What a halftime this guy has had. 2 forced fumbles and an interception for a touchdown.
And in a game like this, it's a rout right now, but if there is a turning point play, it's clearly Teague's stripping of the ball from Amp Lee as Lee was headed into the end zone that would have tied the game at 7. Second and 2 after the 2-minute warning, and the catch is made by Michael Irvin. First down at the 30-yard line. Corey Fuller with the coverage.
Just, again, absolutely perfect timing. That time Fuller even had help to the inside. He was shading to the outside, and nothing he could do about it. Top of your screen. Watch Irvin with the drive, threatening to take it deep. And the ball is there right on his cut. Perfect timing between Irvin and Aikman once again.
And the Cowboys not just sitting on a 27-0 lead. Still not afraid to put it in the air.
Aikman putting it in the air, and Michael Irvin had gotten position in Washington, but the ball wasn't there. Second and 10.
Out there, perfect read between Irvin and Aikman on the blitz. They both picked it up beautifully. They knew they'd have the single coverage. It was Irvin against Dwayne Washington, and Aikman just overthrew him once more time.
You could see Orlando Thomas on his way to the Vikings locker room. We'll pass along a report, but obviously something wrong with the legs of Orlando Thomas. But you're right, that's twice that Michael Irvin has been there, and the ball's just gone beyond him a bit.
And he got too much rest. He had a little too much on both those potential touchdown passes.
Aikman on 2nd and 10, and that's a little too high for Kevin Williams. 3rd down and 10.
Another bad throw by Aikman.
Yeah.
I guess he's loud.
Might have to take him out, huh?
It's an awful lot of passing for a team that's up 27-0 here. I'm only assuming that Troy Aikman is working on his passing game, and they're trying to accomplish something. And normally in a situation like this, the Cowboys would be more than content to just hammer away at an opponent with that big line.
3rd and 10 at the 30-yard line. Dion's in the game. Catch is made. This is Kelvin Martin, and they convert on 3rd down for a first down to the 11-yard line, tackled by Harlan Barnett.
This is what we were talking about earlier. Dan mentioned at the very top of the show, the Cowboys are going to need something on that weak side. Kelvin Martin or Kevin Williams having to step up to take away the coverage as they move on into the playoffs, the double coverage and triple coverage of Michael Irvin. They have Bjornsson back now, and now they get a little help on that other side. They will once again be the potent Cowboys that we've seen in the playoffs over the last 4 years.
Look at that pass from Troy, though. That's almost one of those balls you're almost forced to catch it.
Aikman throws. That's caught at the 6-yard line by Eric Bjornsson, and he's ridden out of bounds at that spot. So they say the tackle was made and progress stopped inbound, so the clock does keep on ticking. Jerry Jones, and we will visit with the Cowboys owner, the man who has 3 Super Bowl rings, his team winning 3 of the last 4 championships, and making a lot of noise today.
He didn't realize he was on camera. Yeah. He wouldn't be ducking it.
2nd down and 3 from the 6. Sherman Williams. They ask Sherman Williams to carry it. He takes it to the 4. 3rd down and 2.
Jerry Jones really excited before this football game. When we left him in Chicago, a lot of people had written the Cowboys off for dead. They struggled. They lost 3 of their first 4 games, and a lot of people had written them off, and here they are, and all of a sudden they're getting it back together again. They're going to be a definite threat to take it all the way.
Chris and Norman Esiason will be along at the half from New York, and then we'll have Jerry Jones here.
You know, when you look back at this regular season for the Cowboys, that one game, our Monday nighter in Philadelphia, when they were 1-3, and looking to play the last game without Michael Irvin, the prospects of going 1-4, it might have been too much to recover from, but they beat the Eagles at the Vet, finished Irvin's suspension at 2-3, and in my mind, no regular season game sticks out more than that win in Philadelphia on that Monday night in October.
And I think back to that, we were there that night. Herschel Walker ran a kickback when it was 10-0 Philadelphia early in the second quarter that turned the momentum just enough. That crowd was in a frenzy at the Vet, and he quieted them, and Aikman led him to a touchdown, and that helped to spin it around.
They went on to win 5 and lose 1 after that. 3rd down and 2 from the 5-yard line. Aikman under duress throws incomplete. Aikman took a shot. Fernando Smith.
Fernando Smith and John Randall. Randall's number 93 up the middle. Smith is 95 coming from the outside. The two of them sandwich Troy Aikman. But again, Troy stood there for a good 5 seconds or so before he threw the football. Overall, decent protection.
This will be a 22-yard attempt. Bonio looking for his 3rd field goal. And he has the hat trick, and the postseason record is 5. He tied the regular season mark of 7 in the Green Bay game. He has 3 thus far. 23 ticks left in the half. Cowboys leading 30-0. Let's check in with Chris Berman. Chris.
All right, Al, thank you. Coming up on our Lexus halftime report, we'll look at this first half. Might talk Dallas just a little bit. Some reaction from Buffalo and the shocking win by the Jaguars over the Buffalo Bills. Your talk with Jerry Jones. Of course, Boomer Esiason will be with me, and this is what Dallas wanted, isn't it?
Well, 5 turnovers. Minnesota is giving the game away to the Dallas Cowboys and making them look better than they are.
We'll see you at halftime. And Al, when you talk with Jerry Jones, ask if George T gets a new contract right away.
Yeah, and in fact, we'll take 10%, Chris. Maybe only 5.
Well, I've never heard you give anything back.
Well, I just did.
A quick 5%.
I was just looking at Jerry, you know. Give me the eye. It's the Christmas spirit. What can I tell you?
I understand.
Well, the Christmas spirit.
Well, Boomer's right in one sense. Nobody's given anything away more than the Minnesota Vikings here in the first half.
Well, you could say Cowboys have taken it away also. They have played really tough, as they have all year long defensively.
Is that cup half full or half empty?
That's a ground ball taken at the 29-yard line, and that's John Jurek, the offensive guard, who brings it back out to the 41. Well, the banners draped from the grid. And will they add another one? Aerial footage provided by Goodyear. So the road to the Super Bowl for Dallas would go from here to Charlotte next weekend. And then if they were to beat the Panthers, they would face, well, Green Bay or San Francisco or even Philadelphia, of course, still in the hunt as Amp Lee takes it up to the 45. The interesting thing is if they face Green Bay, and we're getting ahead of ourselves, we know, but if they go to face the Packers, it would be in Green Bay, but if they played the 49ers, it would be right back here. They could conceivably have another home game. That's the half. All Dallas, all Teague. Chris and Boomer will have Jerry Jones at the half. 30-0 the score, and back we come after this message from the NFL and a word from our ABC stations.
Lexus' relentless pursuit of perfection. From our New York studio, Chris Berman.
Hello once again, everybody. Chris Berman along with Boomer Esiason. How tough is he? He actually led the Jets to the playoffs, so you know he can play the... Wait a minute, Dallas just scored again. No, I'm only kidding. It's still 30-0. What, they've been lying in the weeds? The most they've scored all year is 32 points.
Well, I will say that Minnesota obviously is helping them out a little bit, but their offense does look a lot better. The big offensive line is engulfing the defensive line of the Minnesota Vikings. Troy looks real sharp, and certainly Michael Irvin has made an imprint thus far.
Well, let's take a look at first half action in which Dallas, Troy Aikman scored a touchdown. It was 7-0, but Minnesota in the game. And as a matter of fact, Amp Lee catches the pass from Brad Johnson, and he could go all the way. He can't get way out the ball. It's a touchback. It's a fumble forced by George Teague, the second of the game by him. Then Emmitt Smith. We all could run through this hole.
Well, you can see just how big Dallas's offensive line has played thus far by giving Emmitt Smith that kind of room.
That's a 37-yard run. And then here he is. George Ice Teague makes another interception. 2 forced fumbles, the touchdown off the pick. It's 30-0 in heaven. George Teague, since his college days, has been a guy around the football.
He actually did something similar to that in a playoff game against Detroit when he was with the Green Bay Packers. But the thing about it is that he has always been around the football, and he's playing because of injury.
Well, the first game, in case you missed it, surprise at Buffalo. The Bills, who had never lost in 9 home playoff games at Rich Stadium, shocked by the Jacksonville Jaguars, 30-27. And it was Natron that meant business. 27-20 Buffalo, fourth quarter. This run on 1st and goal from the 9 down to the 8 set up a touchdown pass by Brunell. Then this run, part of his 175 yards rushing, set up with just over 3 minutes to go. Mike Hollis from 45 yards out. Doink! And the Jaguars beat the Bills 30-27. Tony Baselli had his way with Bruce Smith.
Bruce Smith's a great player. I knew I had my hands full. I just thank the Lord for giving me the ability to come out here. Natron played a heck of a game. He ran hard, and we just stuck together. It wasn't pretty, but we won.
Our tackling was the worst that it's ever been all year. I think under the circumstances, if we had a tackle properly and did the things that we were supposed to do, we would have held them to a minimum gain. But they were able to bounce off some of our tackles, and they made some big yardage off of it.
Well, the Bills, a proud team, and you have to wonder where they go from here. They've knocked their head against the wall so often since 1988. But the Jacksonville Jaguars, is this the beginning of something great? Do they keep going? They've won 6 in a row now, Boomer.
Well, I'll tell you what, they really are on a roll, and their young quarterback really showed a lot of poise today. I think, however, they'll find the sledding a little bit more difficult as they go on deeper in the playoffs.
But still, they have an offensive line that can move people out, and Natron Means is what, had close to 400 yards the last 3 weeks?
Well, we knew that he was going to be the key to this offensive game plan for Jacksonville today. Whether or not that they could do it again was yet to be seen.
All right, well, whether the Minnesota Vikings can stage an unbelievable comeback that maybe Warren Moon will have a part of. He saw the worst comeback against this team when he was in the playoffs once upon a time with Houston. Jerry Jones will talk with Al when we return.
Men's haberdashery. Coach.
Well, Chris, I have the owner of the team. It may be the 28th of December, but it might as well be the 25th. I think Christmas has come 3 days late for you. A lot of people thought your team was capable of an explosion like this in postseason. Did you have any sense that something like this could happen?
Well, of course, we took the week off last week, and I'm so proud for these players. They've really been about there and had some fine effort all year, and I think it's paying off out here. But, of course, we have a lot of respect for Minnesota, and we all are aware of what can happen in the second half in the NFL. We've got to sustain the level of play, but we're playing intense out there the first half. Let's do it in the second half.
It's been a turbulent year. Your franchise, like no other, is under a microscope, and primarily because of the suspensions, the drug-related suspensions of Michael Irvin and Leon Lett. This franchise has taken an enormous public relations whack. How concerned are you with that, and what can you do as an organization to prevent a recurrence?
Well, I am concerned, and as all families, if you will, our first concern always is the player and his families. But then we're very concerned about our fans and about not only the Cowboy fans, but the fans of the NFL. And consequently, we have made a big commitment to do everything within our power, all of our resources, all of our energy, toward not having any incidences at all. We've got a team that's made up of some great people that are proud to be a part of the NFL, and it is a reflection when we have a few that make bad judgment. But our goal and what we can do is provide counseling. We can provide doctors, psychiatrists, psychologists, work within the program of the NFL. Now, we know it's very punitive, this program within the NFL. And the NFL doesn't allow any substance, tolerate any substance in the NFL. We agree with that.
Jerry, you know, there's a whole cottage industry out there. It's a rumor mill. A lot of people think that Barry Switzer won't be back. We talked to him yesterday. He said there's no way he steps away. Hell or high water, is Barry Switzer the coach of this team next year?
Yes. We have a little rule. We try to beat each other to it each day or each week when we look at each other and say, are you having fun today? But we work well together. He's engaged our players, engaged our staff. Barry will definitely be coaching this team not only next year, but into the future. I think that I'll smile a little bit when I realize that he's coached 3 years in the NFL.
Will you ever coach this team someday?
No, we won't be doing that. And actually, we have such great respect for the people who do those jobs and have to make the commitment that coaches have to make in the NFL. But Barry's one of the top coaches there is in the land. You know, he's fourth winningest coach in the history of college football and a Super Bowl winner himself.
And he's leading 30-0. Thank you, Jerry. Back to you, Chris.
All right, Alan, Jerry, thank you. Boomer, if you're the Vikings, outside of hiring Knute Rockne to give a speech at halftime, what do you do now?
Throw the playbook out the window, baby, and let the old man give it a shot and let it go.
Now appearing on the Comedy Channel, Boomer Esiason. Second half coming up from Dallas. Cowboys leading the Vikings 30-0.
That is a comp.
Men's haberdashery.
Late afternoon. Happy crowd of 65,000 looking on. The Cowboys playing a near perfect first half and leading 30-0, and they get the football.
Why not?
Yeah. Kick taken by Herschel Walker at the goal line. And Walker takes it up to the 20. This NFC Wildcard game is being brought to you by the complete line of 1997 Lincoln and Mercury automobiles. Tylenol, the pain reliever hospitals use most. And Budweiser now appearing in a fridge near you. Bud Bowl 97, Battle in the Bayou.
Well, I haven't been on the short end of many scores 30-0, particularly in a playoff game, Dan. Only thing I can imagine Dennis would have said to them, let's go back and we're going to play this thing for pride. We're football players and go out there and play it like men.
That's all you can do. You're professionals. You're paid to play. Get out there and do the best you can.
Emmitt Smith back in the game. And to the 25. Emmitt took off most of the second quarter. Back in here early third. Let's get a word from Lynn Swan. Lynn.
Very interesting, Al. I talked to Barry Switzer as he walked up the field. He said for the second half, he wanted to rest Emmitt Smith and Daryl Johnston. Said he also wanted to get Mark Tuinei substituted in the ball game and not play Troy the entire second half. But as we start the second half, we see both Emmitt and Daryl Johnston are in the ball game. Obviously, they went in the ball game and said they still wanted to play in this ball game. So don't look for them still to be in this ball game for the entire second half, especially if Dallas maintains a strong lead. Al?
Yeah, I'd be surprised if they're in for more than one or two series as Emmitt Smith takes the swing pass and he gets tackled at the 21-yard line by Darryl Talley.
Well, I can't imagine them being in there, period. I mean, if you take them out of a football game, they cool down. Of course, they have a chance to stretch in the locker room before they come out, and I'm quite sure that Lynn was probably right. I'm sure they told Barry, he probably gave him an option. Do you want to go or not? And they both must have said they did.
Third down and 10 for the Cowboys from the 21-yard line. Early third quarter, 30-0 Dallas. Aikman, and he gets sacked at the 10-yard line as Derek Alexander, number 90, the second-year guy out of Florida State, last year's #1 pick, with the sack.
One thing might be dictating the fact that Troy Aikman is going to play more than he ordinarily would is the fact that Wade Wilson is hurt. He's got a very bad knee. He is the third quarterback today. Jason Garrett hasn't played that much this year at all, and were he to go in and get hurt, well, then you got to come back with Aikman, and so the Cowboys got a bit of a problem at quarterback.
John Jett, he appears for the first time in his punting role.
That tells you how well things are going for Dallas.
It does. Floats this one to the Viking 45-yard line, and Palmer Takes it across the 50, tackled at the 47. 12:51 left in the third. It's Dallas 30, Minnesota nothing.
Yeah, without us. Nate Newton on the right, Charles Haley on the left.
From the 27-yard line, Vikings first possession. Johnson hands the ball to Scotty Graham, and he goes nowhere. Darren Woodson right there for the tackle. First half statistics, and of course the dominant figure will be turnovers. And first of all, the possessions of punt, fumble, interception, punt, end of half. That's about as ugly as a possession chart can look for one team.
And of course, the first one of those, the fumble, came at a time when it would have tied the football game at 7-7. Instead, touchback, and Dallas never looked back.
2nd and 9. That's caught by Amp Lee. He's tackled at the 30-yard line. First down, Vikings.
Amp Lee, a former second-round draft pick of the 49ers, who had a big game against Denny Green and the Vikings as a rookie in '93, and he became available, and in fact he rushed for about 130 yards, and when he became available, Dennis Green sucked him up.
First down at the 30-yard line. And Johnson tackled at the line of scrimmage by Shante Carver. Report from the Viking locker room is that the injury to Orlando Thomas, the left leg, that's all they're saying right now, and he is done for the day.
Meanwhile, that was a blitz by the Cowboys, and the coverage by Dallas, Kevin Smith, Deion Sanders against Carter and Reed. They took away a possible hot receiver, and Brad Johnson paid the price.
Dave Campo, the Cowboys defensive coordinator on the right.
Well, he's done a great job.
Yeah, that's been a launching pad for guys in the past few years as Johnson retreats on 2nd and 10 and fires, and it's caught by Chris Carter. Makes a nice move to avoid Kevin Smith and scores.
Well, we kept saying get the ball to Chris Carter.
Well, he broke a Smith tackle, and then Teague couldn't knock him down.
His first catch of the game.
You have to like his touchdown to reception ratio.
And not a bad throw. Completely across the field. Little move against Kevin Smith. I don't think he thought Johnson had the arm to get it there that quickly.
Boy, that's a nice move. He puts on Kevin Smith first and then George Teague second. Makes both those guys miss. And of course, that's nothing new. Chris Carter, one of the best receivers in football after the catch.
Scott Sisson for the point after, so Carter scores to get the Vikings on the board. 10:48 left in the third. The Cowboys are up by 23.
The choice between a sedan and a wagon used to be quite simple. You choose the sedan if you wanted style, the wagon if you wanted more room. That is until Mercury came up with the stylish Sable wagon and the roomy Sable sedan. So to make the choice a little easier for you, we gave them both the same affordable price. Problem solved.
Imagine yourself in a Mercury.
I've been around this land of ours from sea to shining sea. And if it stands for anything, it's that every man is free. Free to roam from city to city, to ride the open range. Free to come and go at will, to grab hold of the reins. But if you want to see the country in its glory and its pride, you've got to have a trusty mount that's always ready to ride.
Taste that won't fill you up and never let you down. Make it a Bud Light.
Arizona, the Minnesota special teams coach, looking on. His special teams this year have had a lot of problems. The Vikings near the bottom of the league in almost all of the special teams categories as Berger kicks off. And Herschel Walker downs that one in the end zone. Dallas will start from the 20-yard line. Again, the Cowboys with a victory would go to Carolina. Minnesota would be eliminated, and then the winner of the game tomorrow between Philadelphia and San Francisco goes to Green Bay.
And as you can see, Aikman staying in this football game.
Yeah, I'm even more surprised that Mark Tuinei staying at left tackle because he was questionable. They didn't know how long he was going to play. He's worked out 1 day in 2 weeks, and he's going to be an important man through the playoffs.
I agree with you, Frank. He'd be the first guy I'd remove.
Smith for 5 up to the 25. Tackled by Darryl Talley. And here is today's prudential fact. Bill Bates and Mark Tuinei each joined the Cowboys as undrafted free agents in 1983. So they have spent 14 years as teammates. And that's the longest current tenure among teammates in the National Football League. Tuinei and Bates, 14 years together.
But really the significant part of that is undrafted free agents. A lot of productivity.
Emmitt Smith, a drafted non-free agent, picks up for a #1 pick out of Florida in '90.
I would say that the Cowboys got more than their money's worth, which a lot of times for an undrafted free agent involves nothing more than an airplane ticket to get them to training camp and minimum wage. I would say that the invitation sent to Messrs. Tuinei and Bates worked out pretty doggone well.
Not bad. Each has been to a Pro Bowl. Meanwhile, Emmitt Smith on that last carry, 100 yards for the day now on 13 carries. 3rd and 1 from the 29. Michael Irvin makes the catch up to the 35. He goes.
Single coverage again, Corey Fuller, but I don't care who it is. You're not going to take that away from Irvin with single coverage. Just a little slant.
He got tattooed pretty well, though, Frank. That one, I don't think Michael enjoyed the end of that one. Those were two pretty good, solid hits he took.
Irvin actually unloaded on his own man, too.
Irvin with 103 yards now receiving today to go with Emmitt's 100 on the ground. Big day for the triplets. Aikman, pump fake, going deep, incomplete. Irvin got hung up with Washington.
That time, I think, for the first little smattering of boos coming from the crowd, and that there was a confusion between Aikman, no question, and Irvin on that one. A blitz was picked up at the line of scrimmage. The Dallas Cowboys picking up the blitz really well.
Michael's got a long way to get back to the Dallas huddle.
Little out move, he takes it up, and Troy had put the ball way into the inside. Whether he was looking for it down and in, I don't know, but neither one of them looked happy about it.
2nd and 10. 8:42 left in the 3rd. Cowboys leading 30-7. Smith on a slant up to the 38-yard line. Texas Stadium, 25th season. The Cowboys have occupied this facility, hosting its 20th postseason game. Emmitt Smith today 100 yards, so that's 7 times now he has gone into triple figures in a postseason game, and that's an NFL record. 7.3 per carry, and one of the few Cowboys not going to the Pro Bowl is Emmitt Smith.
Well, he only made 1,200 yards in the season.
3rd and 7. Smith to the 46-yard line on a first down. Tackled by Harlan Barnett.
You're going to go, aren't you, Al?
I think so. You'll be there.
Plan to be there. Dan will even be there.
Yep. We're all going. It's just we didn't have to be voted.
It could have been voted out.
Well, that's true. And it's not too late for that either.
Run, Emmitt, run, and that's what he's doing.
Well, it can't. If you're a Cowboy backer, what you're witnessing here today just has to be welcome tonic.
Outside screen to Darrell Johnston into a serenade of Moose. He loses the ball but out of bounds, so it's still Dallas's ball, popped out by Jason Fisk.
Moose gives his fans a little thrill as he bobbles the ball.
That big Ray Donaldson, the center, out in front of Moose, and he threw a couple pretty good blocks to give Darrell a few extra yards.
Is that a chorus of Mooses or a chorus of Meese?
I think it's Moose's, I believe.
And only you would ask.
Yes, that's right. I thought that, we started with the Cowboys in Mexico. We saw them in a preseason game in Monterrey, and they are an international favorite. You had the Moose call in Monterrey Stadium, and here he is to another chorus of Meese.
And a first down for the Moose.
Well, I think it goes a long way in illustrating how intelligent the fans are here in Dallas, because Darrell's role is rather unheralded as the lead blocker for Emmitt Smith, and he's come to be such a fan favorite here. Certainly recognized with Pro Bowls, but what an awesome blocker he is.
I think he's bigger than any of the linebackers for Minnesota. He carries more weight into it. We talked about Minnesota being small, but their linebackers are really small. The biggest one being in the middle, Jeff Grady, at about 245 pounds. Moose is bigger than that.
First down, and it's caught by Bjornsson for a minimal gain. Barnett makes the tackle.
I think so much of the Cowboys' fortunes through the rest of the playoffs will ride on this man, Bjornsson, who had a really good first half of the season. He was really developing into a fine tight end, replacing almost irreplaceable Jay Novacek. And then he went down with a couple of real bad ankles, and he has really struggled. Only 5 receptions in the last 7 games, but he appears to be healthy. And there's the man, Jay Novacek, that they just can't seem to get him back. A real bad back, and had surgery a couple times, and he's in bad shape.
2nd and 7. Sherman Williams. Emmett's backup takes it to the 25. First down.
You know, we looked at Novacek a minute ago. Barry Switzer told us that probably the biggest surprise of the season was he really seriously thought that he was going to get Jay back. When we saw them in the preseason, he said, well, I bet it'll be 4 or 5 games in, but we'll get Jay back. And then you see the Cowboys in the middle of the season. Well, it looks like we'll get him back towards the end. And now they've just given up, but they counted on him.
And he was so important to Troy Aikman in the last 4 years at that tight end position. He was the guy that Troy always went to when he was in trouble.
Not many things more fickle than a back.
Sherman Williams, a gain of a couple to the 22, tackled there by Fisk.
I don't mean running back. I'm talking about your back, your spine. It's they just don't come around sometimes, and there's no reason why that's apparent. And Emmitt back in this ball game. I'm shocked by this.
He might have a few postseason incentive clauses in there. Only kidding. He just likes to play. I think he loves to play when he's healthy, and it's been a tough year for Emmitt Smith. Yep. And I think he's healthy now.
Had his bye week last week.
I'm glad he loves to play, but if I'm Barry Switzer, I put him on the bench.
Aikman guns it, and that's caught at the 15-yard line by Bjornsson. Well, another reason, when you think about it, even though if you've watched this whole game, you don't get any sort of a feeling that Minnesota could possibly get back in the game. But when you're a head coach and it's 23 points, you know, you've seen stranger things happen.
Oh, yeah. But Emmitt Smith can always come back.
Yep.
If Minnesota scores again and makes it 30-14, you could bring him back.
Well,
it's a tough call. It's a tough call.
It has happened, but that would really be strange if it happened here.
Yes, it would. 3rd down and 1 from the 14-yard line. Troy himself has the first down. Clock ticking down. 3:20 remaining in the 3rd. Coach Fazio watching his defense. And all kinds of trouble in the first half.
One guy you have to give a little credit to, Frank, is Nate Newton, who all along said when playoff time gets here, we'll flip the switch and watch. We'll start playing better football.
Well, that's hard to do.
You and I both raised an eyebrow and said that's easier talked about than done. They've done it.
Yep. They turned that switch.
They did.
Here's Smith. To the 1-yard line.
Speaking of switches, that's the Emmitt Smith that we've watched over the past few years. Not the one that was banged up through most of the season.
But just again, it's Larry Allen, it's Eric Williams, and it's the lead block of Daryl Johnston. Time after time after time, it's the same. There's Allen's block. There's Johnston. There's Donaldson. William, it's just the same cast of characters over and over that are destroying the Vikings.
And for Robert Griffith, quite a headache. Minnesota has just taken a timeout. First and goal, we come back 30-7, Dallas.
Hey, Jimmy, how's the leg?
Leg's just fine.
Doesn't look too good.
No pain at all.
The way you banged it up the other day?
No problem. Doctor gave me Tylenol. Extra strength.
Tylenol? Is that kind of pain?
Just watch me, son.
For the pain of traumatic injuries, Tylenol is recommended the most by doctors.
Hey, Brad. How's my leg?
Tylenol, the pain reliever hospitals use most.
At Transamerica, we've helped 1 million people live a better life with consumer loans. And millions more plan for retirement. We've provided the security of life insurance for 15 million lives and provided millions to finance educations. We also underwrite hopes and dreams. Transamerica. Life insurance, retirement plans, commercial and consumer loans.
Mercury Mountaineer. With available all-wheel drive, standard V8 power, and the kind of comfort you'd expect only in a Mercury. It's the perfect go-anywhere, do-anything vehicle, even if all you're doing is just running out for a few groceries. The 1997 Mercury Mountaineer.
Imagine yourself in a Mercury now.
This is the big one. #1 Florida State tackles arch rival Florida with college football's national title on the line. The Nokia Sugar Bowl, Thursday night on ABC.
Well, you see that lofty rushing average of the Cowboys, 6.3. They've rushed for 2 touchdowns. The average is probably going to come down a tick here as they're only on the 1-yard line.
The league, as an average this year, the average rush was 3.8 yards. 6.3 is tremendous. First and goal.
In a playoff situation, too.
From the 1. Emmitt Smith looking for his 20th postseason touchdown, and they deny him. At least for the moment, tackled by Fisk. Earlier today, Thurman Thomas in Buffalo's stunning loss to the Jaguars scored twice. So Thurman has scored 20 postseason touchdowns, and Emmitt trying to equal that mark.
One of Thurman's was a rushing touchdown. One was a receiving touchdown. Again, Emmitt got caught going parallel to the goal line and turned away. An impressive drive for the Cowboys. This is what, 16 plays?
16th play. Whoa. Almost 9 minutes. Will they give it to Smith? They do. Will they get touchdown number 20? He loses the football. He loses the football.
They're going to say he was beyond the goal line when he lost it. They are?
Well, one
official had raised his arms, touchdown.
Yeah, and the other guys are looking at what's going on, so now they have a conference, and Jerry Austin will tell us it is.
Ball goes to play, possession of the runner, and that's a touchdown.
Touchdown, not an artistic touchdown, but he ties the record.
No one will ever question it. Well, I guess that's why he was sticking around. I'm sure they asked him at halftime if he wanted to come back. I'm sure he said yes. Let's check out the football and the plane. That ball was long gone when he hit the plane. That ball. So. But he just got it again. Emmitt looks like an unorthodox position in the end zone.
Yes.
It would appear to thus casual observers here in the booth that ball was fumbled well short of the goal line.
Well, it was just the wrong ruling. Even if we weren't casual, it would appear that way.
But he does get it back.
37-7.
They can do no wrong.
The choice between a sedan and a wagon used to be quite simple. You choose the sedan if you wanted style, the wagon if you wanted more room. That is until Mercury came up with the stylish Sable wagon and the roomy Sable sedan. So to make the choice a little easier for you, we gave them both the same affordable price. Problem solved.
Imagine yourself in a Mercury.
Great.
Well, it can't get any worse than this.
For the great taste that won't fill you up and never let you down.
I stand corrected.
Make it a Bud Light.
They're never gonna get it open.
What happens when you put a Breathe Right nasal strip on a stuffy nose? The drug-free strip helps to lift and open blocked nasal passages, so you can breathe through your nose again. Whoa. Breathe Right strips for nasal congestion, snoring, and easier breathing.
Monday, a disease stole her hearing. Her parents took her freedom.
You kept her locked up like an animal.
One woman could give her the chance to fight back. Kelly Martin in Breaking Through, ABC Monday.
There it is up to the moment. Thurman Thomas with 2 touchdowns today. Emmitt Smith tying that mark. Emmitt with 18 rushing, 2 receiving.
But as you see, Thurman Thomas played in 5 more games than Emmitt.
But Thurman won't be playing next week, and Emmitt probably will. Kickoff taken by David Palmer at the 3-yard line. And the former Alabama star brings him back out to the 23. 1:29 left in the 3rd quarter with the Cowboys leading 37-7.
People keep asking me, how does it feel to be Steve Young? Frankly, it hurts. Give me my Advil.
Medical studies prove on tough pain, 2 Advil work better than any 2 Tylenol. No wonder for sore muscles, more doctors recommend Advil than any other pain reliever.
Nasty game.
Advil just works better. And for a cold, try Advil Cold and Sinus. It's tough on colds like Advil is on pain.
Get a big screen TV at a price you won't lose any sleep over. Circuit City. You can't get a lower price. We guarantee it.
They were really growing up fast. Too fast. All Kelly talked about was going to high school, and all I could think about was paying for college. Sure, I played around with a few mutual funds, but I was no expert. So I started talking to someone who could help, a broker at Dean Witter.
We must plan for our client's future as if it were our own.
Funny. Kids think their parents always have the right answers. I'm just making sure I do.
We measure success, one investor at a time.
They are going to the Super Bowl. You better believe it, baby. Yes!
Big day coming up on ABC. New Year's Day, Wednesday, the Tournament of Roses Parade kicks it off at 11 Eastern Time. Then we take it to the Comp USA Citrus Bowl from Orlando, Tennessee against Northwestern. And then the granddaddy of them all, as Keith Jackson would say, Arizona State and Ohio State in the Rose Bowl from Pasadena. From the 23-yard line, 1st and 10. Minnesota, and that is almost intercepted. Almost a gift pick for Shante Carver.
Defensive ends are getting all around the football today. We saw Clyde Simmons in the first game for Jacksonville take a Jim Kelly shovel pass into the end zone for a touchdown. Here's Shante Carver getting his hands on a football.
And the continuing education of Brad Johnson.
Notice how I was deftly trying to steer it into another direction.
Absolutely. 2nd and 10. Ampley finds his way up to the 31-yard line for a gain of 8. Roger Harper with the stop.
Let's see. One of the cruelties of playoff football is that when you are on the losing side of this, you have all offseason to have it just kind of turn away in your stomach. It doesn't go away for a long time.
The finality of it all sets in a little after the game, and something that started way back in July, and all of a sudden it's over.
There is no game next week to distract you.
3rd and 2 from the 31. Let's pull up by Evans. Seeks the first down and has it. With 38 seconds remaining in the third quarter, Kevin Smith makes the tackle. The aerial footage provided today by Goodyear.
Ooh, baby, that's enough to make you. I got to lean back and hold on to something.
Yeah, that white six-sided figure in the middle there, that's the speaker that is extended on guy wires.
How's that going to look in the coming digital TV? That'll be a little spooky, won't it?
Round and around.
Watch this picture at your own risk.
I hope we're all around when it happens.
Well, it's got the okay. Won't be long.
From the 34, Brad Johnson looking, escapes, packs it in, scrambles up to the 42, and that will take us down to the end of the third quarter. End of 3. It's Dallas 37, Minnesota 7. Back we come after this from our ABC stations.
Politically Incorrect is coming to ABC Late Night, but on New Year's Day, Bill Maher takes on Primetime.
What about a little free plug, my little friend? Couldn't you have said, well, I know it was between 10 and 10:30 because I was watching the Larry Sanders Show.
Catch Politically Incorrect's greatest hits on New Year's Day.
During your lifetime, you are given but a few chances to witness an event beyond imagination, a moment beyond compare, something so spectacular, so big, it could only be your Ford dealer's year-end sales event, featuring huge year-end savings, financing as low as 1.9%, or cash back from $500 to $2,000, package savings of over $1,900. This event only comes around once a year, so hurry while selection is best. There's more to afford.
Just take those old records on.
For years, Americans have been listening to Bob Seger tell their life stories. Now they're all on one album. Bob Seger and the Silver Bullet Band's greatest hits. American rock and roll at its best. Bob Seger and the Silver Bullet Band's greatest hits. Out now on Capitol CDs and cassettes.
Against the wind.
A front airbag is a very powerful device designed to help protect an adult, not a child. Because of the size of the bag and the speed of its inflation, Volvo believes no child should ever be placed in the front seat of a car. Any car. Drive safely.
Margie and Greco, Monday at 5 and 10 on ABC 7 News.
We start the fourth quarter. Al Michaels with Frank Gifford, Dan Deerdorf, and Lynn Swan. The Dallas Cowboys up by 30. 37-7. It is 2nd down and 2 for the Minnesota Vikings from their own 42-yard line. Johnson throws, and that is dropped by Chris Carter. It'll be 3rd down and 2.
I believe they're doing the wave here. I haven't seen that in a year.
Normally a pretty laid-back group here in Dallas, I think.
'Tis the season.
I think they're so far ahead that they're just trying to stay awake.
I wonder where it stops. It just keeps going round and round.
Where does it stop?
It's kind of like the universe, you know. Where does it end?
I don't know with the Cowboys. It's certainly not ending here today.
Third and 2. And another near pick. That time by Darren Smith.
Brad Johnson's having a tough time finding somebody in a Dallas uniform that'll catch his pass.
And that is a problem. Could say they're very open, though.
4th and 2, and the Vikings are lining up to go for it. Figuring they're down by 30.
Cowboys had the wrong personnel on the field. They had the return team, so they had to call timeout.
Right. If nothing else, they forced Dallas to use a timeout. 7 ticks into the fourth. All Cowboys. Texas Stadium in Irving. Fans of all ages having a great time today. Their Cowboys are on top by 30. Aikman wears the headset. Minnesota goes for it on 4th and 2 at their own 42-yard line. Johnson rolling and gets sacked by Broderick Thomas.
Brad might give $1 million to get out of there.
Why stop at $1 million?
Because Broderick doesn't even know he's there.
At that point in time, Brad Johnson had decided that he was going to try to run for the first down. He still had about 4 or 5 yards to go. It didn't look the way Dallas was deployed that he had any chance of running for the first down. Just nobody open.
Jason Garrett comes in, the old Princeton guy from the 39-yard line. The number 2 quarterback. Aikman is done for the day. And the ball is given to Sherman Williams, the triplets, the big 3, the Dallas Troika. The guys who all had kind of ordinary regular seasons and suspension-plagued regular seasons have had a big day today, all 3 of them. Emmett, 116 yards. Troy, 178 yards through the air. And Michael, 8 receptions and in triple figures. Big, big day. Second and 8. Sherman Williams.
These holes.
Yeah. Doesn't matter if it's the first team or the second team in there. That was Nate Newton, but they've got Kennard and Hegeman in there and the second unit.
You hate to be into a situation of you're almost belittling the Vikings to talk about them, but just look at the size of this hole. Just watch this.
Well, the offensive line is not second. They maintain on that right side at least Eric Williams and Larry Allen. Hegeman has come in.
That's Nate Newton, who comes around and hooks John Randall back to the inside. This is a truly impressive performance by this bunch.
A lot of the second unit guys in there. Sherman Williams. The funny thing, you look at a guy like Jason Garrett, you know, he looks young. He's a guy who's only been around for a couple of years out of Princeton. Garrett is actually older than Aikman by 8 months.
I think he's young because I played with his father with the Giants. I think I recall him as being just a little kid.
Well, Troy Aikman is only 2 years older than Brad Johnson.
Yeah.
Brad Johnson's 28.
Jason Garrett's father, Jim Garrett, played for the Giants along with Walt Jaworski, another Cowboy scout.
Sherman Williams on 2nd and 9. Takes some more time off the clock. Taking it to the 23-yard line. 12.5 to go in the fourth.
There's Mark Tuanay, who really battled a bad right knee and played very productively today. A real question as to whether he was going to be able to play at all. He's made the Pro Bowl as a member of this team. He's not going this year, though, but as a resident of the state of Hawaii, he'll certainly be there. And again,
be out here too.
More than a 2-to-1 advantage for the Cowboys in yardage.
3rd down 5 from the 23-yard line. Garrett throws, and it's caught by Martin. He takes it to the 11-yard line. Kmart, they call him. Kelvin Martin, tackled by Chris Johnston. Wade Wilson, who is normally the number 2 quarterback, but because of a knee injury, number 3 today, listening in.
Martin with a little move to the outside and a smart break back to the inside. Jason Garrett has come off the bench in a couple of key games a couple of years ago for the Cowboys when he was the 2nd quarterback. So he's won games for the Cowboys.
Fisk with the tackle. Cowboys have not been in a wild card game since '91. The 3 times they've won the Super Bowl, they've had to win 2 games on the road to the Super Bowl. This time they'll have to win 3. Again, next week they would go to Carolina to face the Panthers. If they win that game and Green Bay advances, then they'd have to go to Green Bay for the title. But if the 49ers somehow survive, then a 49er-Dallas championship game in the NFC would be played here, despite the fact the Niners had the better regular season record. That's because the Niners are a wild card and Dallas won its division. Sherman Williams with the swing pass.
And out of the 48 teams have competed in the Super Bowl, how many have come out of the wild card ranks?
Only one team, and that was the Buffalo Bills following the '92 season, and all it took was for them to erase a 32-point deficit against Houston to begin their advance. And that advance ended when they were blown out by Dallas in the Super Bowl.
Well, the Cowboys are separate and apart from all of those stats, though, because this was a team that had so much trouble at the beginning of the year, and it's a healthy football team now, and a good one.
When you look at this playoff picture, with both Dallas and San Francisco having to play on the opening weekend, I don't know how it could be any more interesting in the NFC. I just don't know how it could be any more interesting, and that is, it's hard to imagine you could have a bigger time of possession than that. But I think this, the stories of Green Bay being at home at Lambeau, Dallas and San Francisco being at home to start, but then having to go on the road.
Right.
Carolina being in the play. It's just a fascinating picture in the NFC.
25-yard attempt. And Philadelphia rounds out the field as Ricky Waters goes back to SF tomorrow. 9:29 left in the fourth. 40-7 Dallas.
It's about time and finding faster ways to take new ideas from drawing board to reality. It's about the search for methods to make machinery last longer or make a long drive seem shorter. It's about making time to look beyond the obvious. And most of all, about taking time to listen. All things change through time. Cars, trucks, and a company.
How's your job?
Great. There's still a lot of stress, though.
You still getting those headaches?
Yeah, I actually went to the doctor. I thought they might be migraines. He said they weren't. He told me to take Tylenol, extra strength.
Tylenol? Not some prescription, huh?
The Tylenol works great, Dad.
More than aspirin, more than ibuprofen. For headaches, doctors recommend Tylenol the most.
You should have come to work for me, Julie.
Oh, sure. No stress there.
Cornelius and Callie, they have nothing in common except they're falling in love.
It's so fun, Cornelius.
An all-new Dangerous Minds, ABC Monday.
Here's a reminder, that show coming your way on Wednesday, Politically Incorrect's Greatest Hits, Wednesday night at 10 Eastern and Pacific and 9 Central right here on ABC. Dallas 40-7. Bonio kicking off. Fielded at the 3 by Ismail. And the Rockets' younger brother gets banged out of bounds up near the 30-yard line.
I guess when you're down 43, you break out the old fake reverse.
And we can tell you that this wild card game is being brought to you by the new Dodge. It's about change. Nike. Brewery Fresh Budweiser reminds you fresh beer tastes better. And Dean Witter, there are many ways to measure success. Dean Witter measures success one investor at a time.
Dallas was offsides on the kickoff. And we may do this again.
May do those billboards again.
Right. Joe Avezzano, a little distressed that one of his guys got a head start. 9 minutes and 19 seconds left in a 40-7 ball game, and it's work on both sides of the field here, trying to keep your guys with some modicum of focus. Life is good if you're rooting for the Cowpokes, though.
And those Pokes will kick off from the 25-yard line. Bill Bates.
And they have a Pro Bowl player here. Their special teams representative from the NFC is Jim Schwantz.
Right.
There he is right there.
What a year he's had. Woohoo.
At the 15-yard line, David Palmer brings it back to the 34. Well, the Vikings, Roger Hedrick, they have a very unusual ownership situation. Roger's the president, chief executive officer, serves as, in effect, the chairman of a board. They have 10 primary investors. Nobody owns more than 10% of the team, but he is really the guy in charge. This team has now lost 5 postseason games in a row, and this one will be 6. And it's been a tumultuous year, not only in Dallas, but as we said at the very top, in the Twin Cities as well. At the 34-yard line, Johnson throws, and it's caught by Carter. It began with Dennis Green involved in a couple of court cases, and somehow records were obtained by a television station, and his personal travails were brought into the limelight. And then they forgot about that, and Roger said, he's my man, and the team went through a midseason slump. And then the benching of Moon, the ascension of Johnson, the injury to Smith, the ascension of Horde, and then the Lou Holtz thing, which really got Green crazy in the middle of the season. 2nd down and 1 from the 43-yard line. Amp Lee up to the 44.
Sounds like a primetime special to me.
Well, what really made Dennis nuts was that when Lou Holtz leaves Notre Dame, he's the favorite of some of those members of the board that Al was talking about, and they were very loose in talking about, boy, wouldn't it be great if Lou Holtz returned to coach the Vikings? And Dennis thought that that was very counterproductive. He's trying to get his team ready to play, and this open speculation as to whether or not Lou Holtz is going to come in and replace me. Any coach, I don't think Dennis was overly sensitive. Any coach would have bristled if that would have happened to them.
1st and 10 from the 45. Johnson gunning one deep, and that's incomplete, intended for Chris Carter. And then it keeps coming back, and you don't know what the source is or if there's any relevance. But the speculation is that Green will go to Oakland, even though everybody denies that. But I mean, that's been woven in and out of almost every article in the Twin Cities about Green for the last several months.
And you ask Dennis Green straight out, he says, I'm the coach of the Minnesota Vikings. I have 2 more years on my contract.
He does. And Roger Hedrick, we talked to him before the game, and he said he is the coach and will be the coach.
As long as Roger is the man in charge.
Right. 2nd down and 10. Johnson wide open. Indeed, wide open is Qadry Ismail, and the junior Rocket makes it 1st and goal inside the 5.
Obviously a mistake defensively there.
Well, 2 Dallas safeties back there were George Teague and Roger Harper. And you saw Dave Campo there expressing his dissatisfaction with his guys in the secondary.
Darren Woodson, the inside man, he should have been helping Roger Harper. I mean, Roger Harper is the inside man, should have been helping Teague, just didn't get there.
50-yard gain, 1st and goal from the 5. 7 minutes to go. And taking it right through the middle is Brad Johnson for the touchdown.
Well, that took Dallas by surprise.
Yeah. Everybody by surprise.
Went up, quick snapped it, and half the Dallas guys are standing around with their hands on their hips. And that's the world's largest snow cone.
And maybe The world's best offensive tackle.
Yeah. No middle linebacker in the Dallas defense. Brad Johnson took advantage of that, and they're going to go for the deuce.
Going for two, scores 40-13. Johnson throwing. Carter makes the catch. Got position on Sanders, and the conversion is good.
I don't think Deion even saw that ball coming. That is back to Brad. Flag down?
We have a flag down. Back judge.
Doesn't give you the impression it's going to ruin Deion's day, does it?
Pass interference. Number 21 of the defense. That penalty is applied. Extra point is good.
Not only did he not see it, he was very busy.
Well, now Deion's on his way back. He didn't know he was flagged for interference.
Top of your screen. Deion this way.
40-15.
We're your children.
Your boys.
Your girls.
Your sons and daughters.
We are old for our age.
We are too fat.
Can't do a pull-up. We smoke. We inhale.
We drink.
We are mothers.
We are fathers.
We are old for our age.
We have no place to play.
We have no place to play.
We want to be strong. We want you to come out and play.
Teach us to hit. Teach us to throw. We are your children.
We are you.
We are you.
We are you.
Fresh's Hotline, what's your problem?
We're stuck with skunky beer.
So it's not Budweiser?
No.
Remain calm, sir. We're on our way.
Next time, look for this.
New Born on Dating from Budweiser, because fresh beer tastes better.
Fresh's Hotline.
Could we order some Chinese?
A 3.5-liter V6, 214 horses, four-wheel independent touring suspension, an advanced electronic system, 16-inch wheels and tires, and the responsiveness of AutoStick. In case you're wondering just how well a Dodge Intrepid Sport handles, consider this your walkthrough. Dodge Intrepid. This changes everything. Lease an Intrepid now for as low as $299 per month or get $1,000 to $1,500 cash savings.
Tennessee sends its volunteers into Orlando to try to tame the Northwestern Wildcats. It's the Comp USA Florida Citrus Bowl, New Year's Day on ABC Sports.
40-15 as the Vikings have just closed to within 25.
Looks like they're going to attempt an onside kick.
Every indication points in that direction as Mitch Berger will.
Oh, now. Oh, what about those indications now? Those crafty little rascals.
Unbelievable.
Now, at this point in the season, you want to work on everything.
Yep. Calvin Martin, the only guy back there for the touchback.
Right, Dad?
Gary Saunders shaking his head.
I got to be ready next week.
Special teams coach. This wild card game is being brought to you by the new Dodge. It's about change. Nike. Brewery Fresh Budweiser reminds you fresh beer tastes better. And Dean Witter. There are many ways to measure success. Dean Witter measures success one investor at a time. Sunset on the prairie.
On the Vikings.
Yes. First down, Dallas from the 20. Sherman Williams picks up 4 through the middle.
Ray Donaldson, 17 years. And correct me if I'm wrong, is this not the first time that he's going to be on the winning side in a playoff game?
It is. And in fact, in 16 years, he had only played in one playoff game, and that was a loss by Indianapolis in 1987.
You want to know how old this guy is?
Don't ask.
He used to play for the Baltimore Colts.
Second and 6. Sherman Williams. And rambles out to the 45-yard line.
Billy Davis
block.
Billy Davis just made a crackback on Chris Johnson and knocked him into the next zip code. Whoa. perfectly legal above the waist. Look to the left side of your screen, upper left-hand side. Watch this right there. There goes the helmet. Johnson never saw Davis coming. That springs Williams, and whoa, what a pop.
Williams loses the football, but they're going to whistle it dead at the 45. Still Dallas's football.
I don't think Dallas could. I think this is exactly what Foge Fazio is. I don't think Dallas could have anything go wrong this. They're getting every bounce of the ball and every call that seems to.
Yeah, well,
working in their favor.
Last week was Green Bay with, we mentioned earlier, 200. There is.
He's a genie in the bottle today, isn't he?
Ernie Zampese, the offensive coordinator, but Dallas has now rushed for 211 yards in this game, and a week ago it was Green Bay rushing for 233 yards against Minnesota. They've just been run out of the playoffs.
Tell you something, if I ever rubbed my bottle and Ernie Zampese came out, I'd really be disappointed.
Well, I'd say if you rubbed the bottle and Ernie came out, there'd be a lot of smoke in that bottle too.
I would really be disappointed.
Yep. Former USC tailback.
Yep. Barbara Eden was more like it. Ernie is not.
Yep. Ernie down to his last.
Light it up, baby.
Last 49 cigarettes today. Barry Switzer.
We can no longer use beleaguered.
No, Barry is certainly not today. 3rd down and 3 from the 49. And they lose the football. And this time it wasn't whistled dead. Sherman Williams gives it up, and Minnesota does have it at the 48 with 4:03 remaining.
And that was a hard hit. Boy, he was popped, and you could hear that up here. Sherman looks dazed when he gets up.
You don't like to get up without the football, for sure.
Big hit by Bursich on the shoulder, and then he's stripped from behind. Looked like Darryl Talley got a hand on the ball. Jeff Brady in there as well. Everybody's.
Fake toss by Johnson. Has the open man at the 34-yard line, and that's Condre Ismail for a first down. So the Cowboys can make their reservations for Charlotte. That game is next Sunday. And the Vikings go home. Moose Johnston and company heading for North Carolina. And then the winner of the Philadelphia-San Francisco game tomorrow plays Green Bay in Wisconsin next Saturday.
And we can make our reservations for Honolulu.
You bet.
February 2.
And Pro Bowl. Johnson throws. Catch made by Carter. He loses the football. Darren Smith picks it up and takes it to the 50-yard line. Stripped by Jim Schwantz. He's the guy who stripped it. The special teams Pro Bowler and backup linebacker. Schwantz creates it, and Darren Smith with the recovery.
Schwantz is going to the Pro Bowl as a special teams player, and he has had an outstanding year, but he's a fine linebacker. A lot of speed. I don't think he intended to pop it out of there, but he certainly was successful.
Carter just didn't have it very tightly. Pulled against his body, and Schwantz nudged it, and out it came.
Nudged it.
Schwantz, a former Chicago Bear that Berry traded for in 1994.
6 turnovers for Minnesota. Just staggering.
From the 50. And they've got Walker playing out of the fullback slot on that set for a gain of 5.
Now we watch the Cowboys go after a piece of history to see if they can add to this Super Bowl run, if they can win 4 out of 5. Never been done before. The Steelers won 4 Super Bowls in a span of 6 years back in the late 70s. There is 3 out of 4 years they won those Super Bowls, and now they'd like to do 4 out of 5.
Herschel again. Inside the 30, still on his feet, tackled at the 22-yard line.
Herschel extracting a major revenge from the team that turned him loose a few years ago. He was traded by Dallas, of course, in '89 for just about every draft pick Minnesota had for several years. Then went to Philadelphia as a free agent. He went to the Giants as a free agent. Came back this year looking for a ring. He might well get one. Big man still has some good moves. Again, he's never been hurt in this game. Remarkably well-conditioned athlete. He didn't want to go out of bounds.
You know, in a way, it would be such sweet justice for Herschel to get a ring because his trade to Minnesota, as we said before, helped create the Dallas dynasty. That trade in which several players and draft picks, among the draft picks, Emmitt Smith winds up in a Dallas uniform, and then Herschel comes back and maybe reaps a reward. As we take it down to the 2-minute warning. 2 minutes to go. The Cowboys on top, 40-15. Go inside the NFL playoffs tomorrow on NFL Countdown. Live reports from Pittsburgh, a look at Cordell Stewart, and San Francisco, a feature on George Seifert. Tomorrow on ESPN at noon Eastern and 9 a.m. Pacific. 2nd and 5 for the Cowboys at the 17. Jason Garrett hands the ball off to Sherman Williams, who is tackled by Brady.
Well, the only other group in this stadium as sharp as the Cowboys, our production crew, headed up by our producer Kenny Wolf, our director Craig Janoff, and our multi-talented crew up and down the line. Thanks for everything. This was super.
A great gang as we wrap up our 27th season of coverage. And what a pleasure. What a pleasure.
The best.
Hard to believe we've been, what, now together?
10, just finished 10.
Yeah, 10 years.
Herschel Walker to the 14. Dallas a big day rushing. Barry Switzer ending his 3rd year here. And you saw our halftime talk with Jerry Jones. He said he is back next year. Still, I'm sure you'll see a spate of stories about this and that, and that they've lost control. And of all the things, I mean, you can write and say a lot of things about Barry Switzer, but when I read that he's dumb, I mean, it's about the stupidest thing you could ever read.
Yeah, something
something like a fox. That's not even pristine garbage.
Yeah, that's right. That is regurgitated garbage. Next time you hear anybody say or write that he's dumb, just consider the source.
There goes that cottage industry again.
You bet.
This one is now. Well, it is history.
It will be very shortly.
And a long ride back to Minneapolis.
Actually, the Vikings will have to run a play here because the Cowboys give it up on downs. Dennis Green ends his 5th year. He takes them to the playoffs 4 times, but each time with a different quarterback, he goes home with an L.
Well, if Dennis Green, for some reason, doesn't go back to Minnesota, wherever Dennis Green goes, they'll win. I think the man can flat out coach. He's proven it no matter where he's been, and
very inspirational coach too. He can fire a football team up, and that is so necessary in this era we're playing in now, free agency.
Johnson throws. That's caught by Ismail. Vikings, meanwhile, losing 4 playoff games under Green and 2 prior to that. So this will be 6 consecutive postseason losses for the franchise, and that ties a dubious NFL mark. Big star today. Well, I guess you go back to the first half. George Teague stripping amply of what would have been a tying touchdown for Minnesota. There he is. Picks off a pass, runs it back in for a score. Huge half for Teague. And Dallas had it salted by halftime. And that's incomplete.
Long day for Brad Johnson. Let's sign that new contract.
There's a guy who's earned a good sweat. Eric Williams, who's still not quite what he was before the surgery, but not quite what he was before his surgery of a couple of years ago, still makes him one of the top 2 or 3 tackles in the game of football.
Third down. Johnson, and that's incomplete. Broken up by Roger Harper, intended for Ismail.
Crowd getting into it as 4th down comes up. The crowd that remains.
Nate was right. He said we'll kick it in and we'll turn it on when playoff time gets here.
Easier said than done, but they've done it. And that is a Viking first down. And Troy Aikman can take that well-rested arm. He's like a baseball pitcher that threw too much. He stopped throwing for 6 days, and he was sharp as he's ever been today. Dion and the gang heading for North Carolina,
where they're going to have a little Dom, and I don't mean Perrion.
Well, they hope to have a little Dom.
Carolina is for real.
They're going to have some capers.
Yes. 40-15 Dallas, and let's go down to Lynn Swan. Lynn.
Well, thank you very much, Al. Emmett, there were a lot of questions about the Dallas Cowboys offense. You feel you answered most of them this afternoon?
Well, I think we came out today and played a pretty good game. I really do. I think we executed offensively good enough to score enough points and win the game, but I still think there's a lot of more things we need to work on.
There were a lot of times during the season you haven't been your healthiest. People began to speculate about how much you really wanted to play in this ball game, whether you're the same Emmitt Smith. How did you feel?
Today was the best I felt all year long, up until the point where I got hurt. I mean, today I came on the field, I felt great. It just felt good. Had a lot of spring, just felt good. My injuries is healing, and healing well enough where I can keep running around and not really have any problems. I think today, with the lead that we had, I was able to take another rest and let it heal up some more. So I feel very good about it.
You know, with having to play the wild card game, not getting the bye, the outcome of this ball game was as close to a bye situation as you could ask for, but you still came out and played that second half, the start of the second half.
Well, coaches wanted us to come out and play the first series in the second half. We didn't have a real good first series, so I wanted to stick around for the second series, and we was able to have a good, very productive second series.
Emmett, thank you very much. I'm going to talk to your partner on offense here, Troy. Tremendous ball game for you. How do you evaluate your performance?
You know, I felt pretty good. I felt like I threw the ball well this week leading up to the ball game, and I felt like I threw the ball well during the game. And, you know, guys made some plays. We had some opportunities for some bigger plays. You know, they blitzed us. They picked some good times to do it. I was trying to lay the ball up for Michael, and we just missed on a couple. But I thought the guys played well throughout the game.
One of the things I noticed, Michael seemed to get an awful lot of man-to-man coverage. You think you'll see that kind of coverage on Michael Irvin throughout the playoffs?
Well, no, I don't think we'll see that throughout the playoffs. We played Minnesota early last year. They showed that they would single up on Michael. We felt coming into this ball game with the way we're able to run the ball when we're running the ball, plus with what happened to them against Green Bay last week, the way they ran the ball, we felt that they would be coming in today committed to stopping the run. We'd get the single coverage, and we did.
People made a big deal about the fact that going into last week's ball game, you didn't throw the ball that much. You rested your arm. Barry Switzer was saying how wonderful you threw the ball in practice. How'd you feel coming out here? Was that the big difference in the zip on the ball, do you think?
Well, you know, I don't know. But I know that I threw very few balls last week, tried to give my arm a rest. Came back on Monday, and it felt pretty good throwing the ball, the best it had felt in a long time, and it continued throughout the week. And so I think it probably helped some. I don't think that had everything to do with it.
Well, last question for you. You love to give credit to that offensive line. Nate Newton kept telling people, when you get to the playoffs, we're going to turn the switch, we're going to turn it up. Looks like you were able to do that.
Well, they did. They certainly did, and we hope that we can continue to do it throughout the playoffs. We know we've got a tough opponent this next week in Carolina, an outstanding defensive football team, and for us to continue to win, our big guys up front have got to do the job, just like they did today.
Excellent performance for the Cowboys, Troy. Thank you very much. Al?
All right, thank you, Lynn. The final score is 40-15 as the Cowboys knock off the Vikings. I want to wish you a very happy New Year, and a reminder that New Year's Day, our coverage starts at 11 a.m. Eastern Time. Tournament of Roses Parade, then the Florida Citrus Bowl and the Rose Bowl, all coming your way on ABC. Al Michaels, Frank Gifford, Dan Deerdorf, and Lynn Swan saying so long from Irving, Texas. We'll go to a commercial, and then following the spot, back to New York for Chris Berman and Boomer Esiason.
Along with Boomer Esiason, a pair of boomers with you all day long, and wow, the Cowboys lowered the boom on the Vikings 45th. I have to ask you, how about them Cowboys?
How about those Cowboys? I don't really know, to tell you the truth. They realized in listening to Troy Aikman and Emmitt Smith after the game that the 4 turnovers in the first half that proved costly to Minnesota really helped the case of the Dallas Cowboys. But you have to realize that when you watch them on film or watch them today playing, they look much sharper. Troy was throwing the ball with great efficiency, and certainly Michael Irvin and Emmitt Smith made it big plays.
Well, we now know the Dallas Cowboys will play next Sunday, so they have a couple of days off now playing a Saturday game. They'll be at Carolina. The winner of tomorrow's Niners-Eagles game will be at Green Bay. That's the Saturday game next week in the NFC. Earlier today, a big upset as Mike Hollis's field goal for Jacksonville with just over 3 minutes to go doinks off the upright. The Jaguars shocked the Bills 30-27. Natron means business at 175 yards rushing. So if Pittsburgh beats the Colts tomorrow, Jacksonville at Denver, Pittsburgh at New England next weekend. If the Colts beat the Steelers tomorrow, Colts at Denver, and the Jaguars at New England next weekend. A reminder, we took you through the New Year's Day, or Al did, all the games here on ABC. The Nokia Sugar Bowl for the National Championship of College Football, Florida State against Florida. That's January 2nd at 8 Eastern Time. Boomer Esiason, Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you, Boomer, too.
Good to see you.
Okay.
Hope you enjoyed the day of football here on ABC. I'm Chris Berman. So long.